Folks, welcome back. It's Axie Tuesdays. We got some new overlays. We were going to try to play some arenas today, but alas, we were thwarted by server issues. Some naughty no-nos are DDoSing the servers right now. It's frustrating. We all want to be grinding, getting that SLP, buying stuff on the marketplace. I'm right there with you. We're working on it. Trust me. We've got developers working overtime trying to get everything back and stable. So in the meantime, though, we've got DAVEvsAXIE. As I said in the little pre-show, I feel a little bad because I booked him so we could play some arena together, and here we're just gonna have a classic old podcast, I think. So excited to hear about what's been happening in his world. He's been slaying it as a streamer, and I'll move my Spotify overlay as well. Been slaying it streaming recently. Content creator, highly engaged with CTG. Had Elijah on last week. So, dude, welcome to the stream, Dave. How you doing, buddy?
Thank you for having me. First of all, I'm doing well. I'll say it's been a very exciting week for me. I've had a lot of changes, and I'm working on a lot of different things for me personally. But I'd say really kind of this last week is when Axie started to feel real in a lot of ways. And not that I would say that I'm going to quit my job tomorrow, but you start to see the possibilities, I think, as things have grown and evolved over time. But it's been a very exciting last 7 days for the Axie universe with AXS and SLP and just things that I'm working on. I mean, it's been incredible.
Yeah, incredible is the right word. It's been nonstop as well. Like I sleep for 8 hours and wake up, and I spend the first hour of my day just kind of sifting through Twitter and trying to digest everything that happened while I was asleep. You know, understand the price action that's been happening on ASX, and it's just been nonstop. I mean, we had this. I guess just calling it a scam is the right thing. We had that whole issue with Twitch a couple days ago. I haven't seen it popping up. I don't know if that bot's died, but it just kept making new versions of intentionally misspelled twitch.tv/Axie Infinity. And like some genius realized that the I's and L's look pretty similar, you know, and Axie Infinity has a lot of I's in it. So yeah, there's no shortage of extra names. But luckily, right, we summoned the Axie army, and the best way to fight that is just mass report it. The stream was being view botted, so on Twitch's side, they can very clearly see it's not like a legitimate stream or something. And they got banned within like 5 to 10 minutes of popping up. It was restreaming the AMA with a stupid phishing link attached to the bottom trying to steal people's information. So it was getting taken down really quickly, but it was also getting recreated pretty quickly. And we were fighting that battle for a good 36 hours, 48 hours of just between the angels and the developers and just various community members. You know, we were spam refreshing that page, spamming reports. I have like 50 emails of, hey, we got your report. We took action on your report. Hey, we got another report. We took action on your report. So, yeah, battle well fought, everyone. Thank you to everyone that helped us with those reports because
So is that a new job for you now too? Is that your new job to go fight off the bots in Twitch?
Well, I mean, so that's the thing. All of these things every attack is a little different. You know, so it's always an arms race of like white hat versus kind of black hat type stuff. So in that case, you're limited by all of the usernames that exist on Twitch. So eventually the names start being like Axie with 5 E's, and it's like it's so chopped up and doesn't even read like Axie Infinity anymore that it's not a very convincing grift and not even worth putting the effort or time into to like maintain it or try to run it. So it was a pretty short-lived thing that we kind of just had to fight fire with fire, and I think now it's at least slowed down, if not died off. But yeah, a little bit. You know, sometimes when these things pop up, it's just this is all happening in real time. So you know, you contact Twitch, you try to find a solution. In the meantime, you just look for the best, even if it's a Band-Aid. What's the best thing we can do to not just let this thing, you know, run amok and scam people? Because that's the worst case. We got to do something. At the very least, we got to get them taken down and hopefully find some sort of a proactive kind of fix to it.
Right. Which isn't that kind of the craziest thing right now, that we're fighting off DDoS attacks that have been going on for as long as I've known, at least 2.5 months since it kind of first started, that I heard, and they posted it on Axie Infinity. But now we have the Twitch bot scam. Like, it's kind of crazy that Axie is as small as it is, yet as big as it is, and yet we have all these different people now actually trying to target and attack us. Like, I can't imagine, you know, what that would be like in a year. or even
Yeah.
3 months. I mean, it's
It's an
just
arms
that's
race.
wild.
No,
Yeah.
totally. And it's also like not unique to us. This existed in the Dota space on Twitch. I think it was OG. There was some sort of, it was like a 24/7, it was pretending to be Topson or some other really high profile player, and it was just a 24-hour stream that would stream his live games or like replays of his matches. And then it would spam this giveaway, and somehow the giveaway was either like a Trojan or whatever. It stole something from your account. And yeah, I remember OG like tweeting at Twitch saying like, please help us. As soon as we get it taken down, another one comes back like faster than we can get it taken down. Like, help us, please, because there was a while where it was very convincing too before people like caught on to it and realized it was a fake stream and stuff. So yeah, it's,
Wow.
in some ways it's reassuring to know that we've got the attention of these, same douchebags that have been doing this or attempting this in, other games, other scenarios. Like, in some ways, I guess it means that we really are growing, right? We're on the radar now, man.
Right. I guess because they have to do it with the potential of making out with that scam, because I'm sure it's a lot of work from their side to do all of it too. I mean, that's just
right.
a crazy trip.
But yeah, as always, make sure you're on the actual AxieInfinity.com website. And this particular phishing link, what they did was, so there's a subdomain there, right? It's marketplace.axieinfinity.com. That first dot is key. You see what I'm saying?
Got it, yes.
So like anytime, like, use bookmarks. I think that's one of the recommended, like, you take the real Axie site, you're on the marketplace, boom, bookmark it, and then you got it there nice and sticky. I think that's generally considered like a good security practice. Correct me if I'm wrong, Dave. I don't know if you're a security expert either, but those are the kind of things you want to look out for, though. I mean, people are really clever with this stuff, and yeah, you don't want to put that phrase into anything. Keep it close. That's
keep it secret.
It's a secret. It is truly a secret. It is named appropriately.
Yeah, I think that's. I'm a big. Once I find something the first time, I save it. So I'm a big bookmarks bar guy. So I really try to never type anything in. I guess I do a little bit on my phone, but for the most part, I'm not using my secret phrase on my phone. But yeah, I'm definitely not the head of security when it comes to anything. I did just buy a Trezor, so that was also kind of the new development.
Hardware
so
wallet?
I've now jumped onto that train. I don't know have you done that yet?
Yes, I use a hardware wallet. Yes, for sure.
You do.
I think that is key. I think that's one of the best ways to stay safe. You definitely want to read up and make sure you understand how it works. But yeah, big believer in hardware wallets. I think because that's what's cool about MetaMask, right? You can make a MetaMask account where your seed phrase is like a hot wallet where it's in MetaMask and it's just there, and you need to back it up, but like they generate it for you. That's okay. That's how I started using MetaMask. But now that I've got multiple Axies and land and stuff, I definitely felt like it was appropriate to buy a hardware wallet, get that set up, make a new MetaMask account that's backed by the wallet instead of just through MetaMask. Yeah, I don't want anybody knowing my secret phrase. Sorry, MetaMask. You seem awesome, but not that awesome. I'm keeping that one for me. So yeah, highly recommend the hardware wallet for sure. I know they're a little expensive, but to me it was sort of a no-brainer in terms of the additional security that they provide.
Well, I was just going to ask that because mine was only like $70. Like I thought it was for how much assets you're potentially pooling in there. It wasn't that bad. Did you go with a Trezor? Did you go like high-end Trezor?
Yeah,
did you go Ledger? Did you go something else?
Which exact the models are hard to remember because they're all just like letters. It's like the T or the Z, and then they all have different schemes. But I think I spent like 140 or something, 130, something like that on Amazon. So I went not super high end, but I didn't go basic either. I wanted something that would be relatively future proof, whatever that means in the crypto space.
Right. I'm surprised that like Axie doesn't start slinging it on their site. Like, hey, you signed up. All right, here's a Trezor, and they get like a little kickback from Trezor or Ledger or somebody. Because it's such an easy, nice thing. Oh, really?
No, well, I don't know. I just you're not the first person to suggest that idea. Maybe is a way I could say it. And I think it's a good one. Like figuring out. We're definitely realizing with this hyper growth, really for a while it was how do we get people sold on Axie, interested in Axie, and onboarded into that Axie ecosystem. For a really long time in Axie's history, it wasn't really people that saw the game first and then were like, whoa, I have to play this, get me onboarded on crypto. They were already like within the Ethereum ecosystem. Maybe they were already looking at NFTs. Like they were probably buying crypto kitties. Like they were kind of aware of the space. And then, oh, this is another cool thing I can do with this crypto that I have already. Now we're seeing people that have never had a hardware wallet, never had a hot wallet, they've never bought cryptocurrency before at all, but they understand the value proposition of Axie Infinity, and now they want to get in. We're onboarding a lot of new people just into the cryptocurrency ecosystem, into blockchain. There's a lot of education that has to take place before you can even really start playing Axie when you're getting this stuff set up. So, I think it's fair to say we've definitely thought about, we've been reevaluating and thinking about, finding better ways to try to improve that education. We didn't really think about that falling on us as much as it has. So now that it has, we've got to embrace it and find a way to optimize, man.
Oh yeah. So I would say, especially as you're looking at hardware wallets, if we talk about that real quick.
Yeah.
So after I tweeted about it, I had like 15 people or so either DM me on Discord or Twitter, and they were all people that have a decent amount of Axies. They're either managers or starting scholarships or just have a decent pool themselves. And they were like, hey, I've heard about this. I've always wanted to do it. Can you help me? Like, make a video. And so I got the Trezor. And I think at the time it was down, but no one knew it was down. At least there was no tweet that I saw. But then I saw that Psychout had put up on Axie Infinity and the Discord the next morning, hey, Trezor works again. So for the first day, I thought I was the dumbest person ever. And I was like, holy cow, Trezor is like the most complicated thing in the world. I can't even attach or make one Ronin wallet. And then once that announcement was good, it actually is really easy. But the main request I got, because from everyone else, because I couldn't figure out, and maybe if it is possible, so I'll ask on behalf of them, is it possible to, if you already have Axies in Ronin, to just duplicate your Ronin seed phrase or create a new one and transfer all those into the new Trezor or hardware wallet of any sort? Are you aware of that?
Okay, so I think, let me see if I can rephrase the question just to make sure I understand it. Okay, so you've been playing Axie and you've had just hot wallets. Like you made MetaMask, you set up your seed phrase through MetaMask, and then the same thing with Ronin. You set up a seed phrase like through Ronin. So they're all hot wallets. You have your seed phrases. They're backed up like on paper, written down or something, but they're not connected to a hardware wallet, correct?
Correct.
They're completely hot wallets all through the browser. Okay. So that's where I started as well. So I think the best thing to do is when you get your hardware wallet set up, you connect it to MetaMask, and then it looks a little different. In MetaMask, you'll have your regular one, and then it'll have a little hardware tag next to it. So that's how you know, like, okay, that's my hardware wallet that just interfaces with MetaMask, and then my wallet has to be plugged in. Like people can send me stuff, but for anything to come out of my account, I have to approve it through MetaMask and click through it with my hardware wallet, right? That's the key difference.
Right.
I would just make you have to make a new wallet with the hardware wallet and then connect that to MetaMask. I would just make a new Axie account and transfer the assets to that new one. So
okay, so that is...
It's not a transfer the way you framed it. It's just like, hey, I had this old account. This account is like my hot wallet. I'm done with it. I'm moving to my hardware wallet. I'm just going to gift all of those assets to my new account, basically. And then you just play on your new account.
So the challenge on that happens is twofold. One is if you have more than 100 assets, you can't even do it all in one day. So that just gets very tiresome. And it's all quick. You have to do it one by one. And if you're using the Trezor, well, I guess to the Trezor is easy. There's no...
Receiving is fine. Yeah, you don't have to do anything.
Easy and fast.
So that part's easy.
But also all your Axie levels reset. So if you I have 15 scholars on my hot wallet in Ronin.
Yes, that is a big catch. In order to
transfer them over, I gotta basically reset them all at some point. So I haven't done it yet. I did all my main assets, but I'm like, I just feel bad, and they all just got to their level 25, and so I haven't done it yet. But so I'm a little risky on those guys. But
yeah, so I think now, and this is where I'm still onboarding, and there's a lot of nuanced support stuff, like where I work with the angels and I ask a lot of questions, and I'm still learning. So to my knowledge, what I just described is basically the best process you can do right now to do that transfer. I don't think there's a way to like say, hey, this is my new account, or I'm going to like swap this out so that my Axies maintain those levels. I don't think there's a tool to do that optimally. So I think what you pointed out are probably fair criticisms with my little strategy, but yeah, and it is manual if you've got a lot of assets. I was kind of lucky to make that switch when I had, I think, 1 land plot and like 9 Axies, something like that. So
Yes.
it wasn't that bad. Although I was pretty scared, not gonna lie, gifting that land plot. I was like, this is the most expensive asset I own. Oh, please don't mess up. Don't misclick. It's really scary those first couple times you do like a big transaction, you know?
Yep. No, that's great feedback. So for anyone, if you've been DMing me or anything like that, I'll give you the download later too. But if you are here in the chat, as I see a lot of you are, and some people are very excited, like Hitchhikers on here, very excited for the chat about treasures and such. It sounds like it is going to be manual, and if you do have scholars, you're gonna reset their levels. So take all that into consideration as you do it. But obviously, the extra layer of security probably outweighs the 2 or 3 weeks of grinding levels as a scholar.
I hope
So
I'm
maybe
not
you give an
wrong.
extra.
I'm a little self-conscious. I hope there isn't some workaround that I don't know about, but that's what I did. So I know that process at least works, but as Dave is pointing out, there are some strings attached. So
Right.
yeah, maybe double check it. I'm certainly I'm mature enough to say when I don't know, Dave, and I'd say 90% confidence on that one.
Right. And at least for the big assets too. Like for me, I did the obvious ones like my Frosty, the land, my land items. Like those are kind of the obvious.
I think that's
no-brainers.
smart. That's very smart. Yeah.
And then my breeding farm right now is there too. So again, it's a little slower. Because I actually heard some OGs or like some longer tenured people in the game, they didn't move their farm to their treasure because it's just too many clicks. And I was like, well, that's really my main asset pool now, is like trying to have a breeding farm in certain varieties. So I'm for sure moved all that over too.
Yeah, totally. What are you breeding these days? Are you doing a little bit of everything? Have you specialized?
So great question. I have not specialized. And so
Oh wow.
you guys just saw I haven't specialized in one type. Let me rephrase that. And so if you guys have been watching my breeding stuff, I just did the first 2 videos on YouTube. I have a third one coming out, and I'll give you the alpha that I'm going to release in that video and explain in a lot more detail. So we can go in depth if you want, but also don't let me bore you if I take over the show.
Okay.
But here's my trick, and it's been the most profitable thing, and it's exactly how I started my breeding farm initially, and it just worked beautifully for aquas. As we all know, aquas right now are selling at a very high.
I got lucky
baseline.
with that. Yeah, I
Yes,
didn't.
You
Again, I
have that
underestimated how
too.
fast they'd appreciate. Where I had a couple very generic zero breeds, or they were like 95%. They're solid, but not like exceptional, right? And their skill set is just very generic stuff that I wasn't upset about, but also not stoked about. And I set them way above the floor, and they sold in like 2 days. I was like, oh my gosh, the floor has passed what I sold them at. If I had just held out, I could have gotten so much more value. This is harder than I thought. Like I said to myself when I listed them, this is so high above floor. If they sell, I'm going to be happy no matter what. 2 days later, I'm like, what was I thinking? Oh my God, I could have made another 0.3 ETH or something,
Right.
Forever FOMO, man.
No, and that's a good evaluation, because I would say, from my general rule when I list anything, is if it sells in less than 30 minutes or less than an hour, it was too low. And so that's usually my gauge of like, okay, I messed up there. I way devalued what I actually had.
Okay. So 2 days isn't that bad.
Yeah, no, 2 days is great. I'd say like if you actually have the appropriate price point on it, anything to list and sell within about 4 to 24 hours is a really good mark. That usually means that you're like right in line with what people's expectations were, or someone reached and grabbed it if you actually did overprice it. But yeah, if you sell anything in less than an hour, even 2 hours usually, you definitely could have gotten more, which is fine for some people, not for others. So something to consider. But so my main trick that I do is, me and several others agreed, we don't really breed 100%. Obviously, if you can get them, it's fine. But when I go to the marketplace, I look at a lot of things, and I talked about it in the breeding videos a little bit too. But basically, if you're a bird and you have aqua parts, if you only care about the speed of your bird being the fastest, your aqua gives you the same amount of speed as a bird. So if you have 2 aqua ears on a bird, you actually don't lose anything. The only things you lose is you lose 2 morale, but you get 2 extra health points. So if you actually want a slightly tankier bird, the best build for a bird, truly, if you don't care about going for
Huh.
crits, is a double aqua ear or aqua ear eye, and then all bird parts below would get you the exact same speed bird as a pure bird.
Okay. That's an interesting little tidbit. I like that. Very crafty. Nice
Right.
attention to
So
detail.
what I've done, and actually I have not done a full farm of it, but I'm starting to try to. It's mutated in, and it's been great, and I'm trying to sustain it. Is I've been able to get reptile ears on a mech, and so if you know a mech is 4 points higher in speed than a base beast, but it has significantly lower morale. And what it has instead is it has extra skill, which we don't have to dive into what a skill is or anything. But basically, for all intents and purposes, it has less crit chance. It's a faster Axie. But the downside of beasts and mech is they are so weak against birds and aquas that have some of the highest attacks in the game. What Fryzar does, and that's the ear part I have on my mech, is it allows me to tank 110 attacks from a bird or an aqua and survive with no shield of any kind. And I can now survive bigger attacks like 120s or 150s with enough shield from my cards on there as well, only because I have a reptile part that maintains my speed at 45, but then gives me 3 extra points in health.
Okay.
Yeah.
Damn. So the only thing that I know about crossing birds with aquas is like mostly from talking to Elijah last week, but this cuckoo thing, like the dream is like a pure ass aqua with just like one cuckoo D, and then that's it. You're just like, that's the only bird part I care about. And that's the kind of shit that I would look at and go, I don't see why that is good. But I guess just having a 0 energy brick wall ability is super useful for like a backliner. When you get into the 1v1, it gives you a huge amount of leverage to save energy and not die when you know there's guaranteed damage coming, like for, I guess more reasonable certainty than usual.
Right.
So yeah,
Right.
but I don't have one. I guess that's pretty expensive now because there's not that many of them and they're pretty hot, right?
Yeah, well,
That's the hot shit.
And if you saw Elijah, so Elijah talked to you about last week, but then he did a video on it of like, here's kind of good buys you can find in the marketplace right now. And basically right after the video, all of them sold. And so I had a pure one. Not a pure. I had a zero breed with not great R1, R2s. And I listed on the market kind of same as you did. I was like, it was so high above floor, it was 1.7 ETH. And I was like, no one's going to buy that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll just put it there in case someone like really, really wants Cuckoo, Blue Moon, Aqua. And I think within 4 hours of the video coming out, it sold. So
yeah,
I got a little lucky there. But
yeah.
Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
No, I'm curious what you think on that note of, because I asked Elijah about this and I know his feelings, and I think there's a wide spectrum of potential responses. So in my book, it's an interesting question. This conundrum of content creator and vested interest in what it is that you're standing, so to speak, right? So if you're the first person to innovate this aqua cuckoo thing, and you breed one because maybe you get it accidentally with a mutation, you play around with it and you realize, holy shit, this is amazing. No one else has noticed this yet. Why not breed as many of those as you can before making your video that's going to go viral and break the meta so that you can clean up the marketplace as the only person that knows this? Now, and I think, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but I think Elijah kind of said, like, I would never do that because that seems kind of unethical and like an abuse of power. And I really respect that take, but at the same time, I think, oh gosh, Ishies, thank you so much for this massive raid. Here you go. Yeah. But I don't necessarily think every content creator will be that, I don't know what the right word is there, like tactfully purist about it. And not even that, like, I think people will try to abuse it in some kind of really bad way, but just we all have a vested interest. Some of it's organic, right? Like if I'm an aqua guy and I've bred a shitload of aquas and I innovate something in the aqua space, well, I got a pretty good platform to like monetize this new demand for this aqua stuff. And some of that's just natural of me innovating in the aqua space because I'm an aqua guy, right? It all sort of makes sense. So is there anything wrong with that? Is that necessarily like unethical? I think that opens up an interesting potential conversation of like where that line is. Is there a line there at all? Is it all just free market stuff? I don't know, Dave, hit me with it. What do you think? You're a content creator as well, so I think it's particularly relevant to your situation.
That's a good example. So on my stream, I've talked about the Fryzard mech, but I haven't overhyped it. Like I haven't tweeted about it. I haven't made a video on it or anything like that. But it's very good. Like it definitely is a nice advantage to have that little bit of extra health for survivability. Also considering mech doesn't get three bars on morale when you die in Last Stand. Like there is some sales pitch there. I guess a little bit in stream when I'm using it. I'll talk about why I'm using it, but I don't say like, oh hey, you should go buy this. And I don't think I've listed one yet. I think I still have them all in my account. But to that point, there's twofold. So I think if you're if you actually are having something that is worth money and you want to kind of corner the market, I don't personally have a problem in that because there was kind of freedom to do whatever you want there. I will say I've seen it in the past, and I won't name anybody, but I've seen in the past where I've seen other content creators, not necessarily YouTube, but more on Twitter. But I've seen it in several places where they'll oversell what they have, but because of their platform, people want to buy it from them because it's them. And so we have some influential, like big names now starting in the Twitter space that are very popular, do a lot of really nice things. And they'll say it's for a good reason too, whether it be for scholars or like, improving the farm or like whatever their reason is, or they're going to donate some of the money, whatever it might be. But then they're selling things that aren't as good. And then people are paying a 20-30% premium, where if they just did the research in the market, they would get a better deal. And so that's more the side that I don't love. But I wouldn't have a problem if Elijah did it necessarily, or anyone else did anything like that. Where if you have a great build and you happen to have a bunch of them, because you will, I guess, know you can search all of the markets to see if there are more of them, so you would technically know how many of them are. But like my big thing that I decided to do was I made dual blade revenge arrow mechs because there was like 20 of them at the time, and now I think I have about a quarter of them that exist. And so I'm just putting them in scholars accounts. I've sold a couple, like mutations or weird ones, but like, so there's things like that where if you try to make a unique breed, you can do whatever you want with it too. I think that's a very interesting dynamic, but I know that's Elijah's stance too. And that's kind of where I align too. Like I could see it happening. I know it's going to happen, like, especially as the game grows, like that's going to become super popular.
Here's the next layer, right? If you kind of think about this game theory element of, does having more of that purist approach actually make you stand apart from the herd as like, hey, everyone, I'm sacrificing profitability to maintain my reputation as someone who is provably just speaking from the heart of what I think is good. I'm not trying to profit off of it. I'm just trying to make good content. Will that be a function that will allow people like him to excel faster than other content creators that like, it's a pretty obvious grift, right? I think it's kind of hard to, like, even if you're doing it on like a bunch of different accounts, or you have other people that are like, you could try to hide it, but you're still going to see the market flooded ahead of time. And if somebody's looking, that's the beauty of blockchain. We'll be able to see these weird sort of patterns of, man, right before that bug video, these people listed 100 of these bugs. That's weird. You can't hide it, right? So does that lower your reputation in some way? Does that take away some of the earnest nature? Like when people watch those videos, or can you actually take it at face value and say, yeah, this is the best build? Or is that person now got a questionable reputation and you don't know? You don't know if it's a grift or if it's actually a good build. Whereas Elijah, every single time he makes a video, it is what he thinks to be the best build. Not to say he'll always get it right, but it's always an earnest intention. I wonder if that becomes a differentiator at the end of the day.
I think it does, because there's also the point too. He's made a lot of videos early on about like what's the cheapest, best Axies you can buy, and then unfortunately, once that pops, there's only so many in the market normally, so they sell out, and then they're not the cheapest ones in the market anymore. That his video is really valid for one day. If you miss it, then it's like, oh dang, I missed the whole thing. And I think there's also the challenge too. Like he's trying to help the new player to get in the game, which I love too. Like he's trying to get what's the best bang for your buck right now to help you get in, because once you're in, the earning potential starts pretty quickly. But getting in with the decent Axies or the right things are very important. So he tries to do that, but then it kind of washes. And I think you have the other side of it too. Like if you're a whale, or if you are someone who has a lot of Axies, why not just go buy the? He did a double anemone like tank video or a double aqua build with also the double anemone,
Mm-hmm.
and then those all of a sudden jumped up in price by like 30% within a couple days. And if you're a breeding farmer, why not go buy 7 of them or 8 of them and start a double anemone breeding farm? Because you might also trust Elijah's guidance, like not just from the what's a good option, but also like what is the appropriate move for the future. So I don't know. I love the approach and I love the idea of it. But yeah, he and I actually talked yesterday about how he might need to reconsider how he does these videos, because he doesn't want to seem like he's flipping the market. And he definitely doesn't want to seem like he's manipulating the market in any way either.
Yeah. Well, I definitely don't think it's intentional, but it perhaps is somewhat inevitable. It reminds me of I remember we did this like franchising case study when I was in business school, and they talked about how McDonald's is renowned for their location scouting. Like you'll always notice that when you see a McDonald's, like it flows with the road really well. Like you never have to make a U-turn. It's always off that like right off the exit. It's always right on the corner with the big visibility. They are best in class at finding the best locations and doing a ton of market research to identify those spots ahead of time. Huge financial investment to find the locations before they sell those locations to franchisees. You know what Wendy's model is? Let's just open across the street from McDonald's. They did all the research. We know that they're renowned for this. Let's just follow them around. What's wrong with that? And there's nothing wrong with that, as it turns out, And when you ask McDonald's, they go, "That's okay." It's sort of a compliment. In other ways, it's our customers like variety. It's fun. Right. So anyway, I think about those kind of analogies sometimes. It cracks me up.
No, that's super interesting. Hey, here's my pre-alpha leak of what I've told in my stream, and I'll tell you the same thing. So what you need to do is just go buy 3 breed Axies with 95% plus. My goal is 97% plus normally. I will go to 95 if I'm usually okay with whatever is in the R1, because if in order to be 95, it's usually not 5 R2s. It's usually 1 in R1, and then it'll be 2 in R2. So if I'm okay with the R1 coming up, like say it was a cuckoo for an aqua, then I'd love that. Or if it was, even a bird move like a cupid might be okay on an aqua, for example, that you might be okay risking it to go for it. But anyways, you're going to buy 2 of those. You're going to breed them. And right now, or the cost it used to be that I have on my sheet was like 0.15 ETH. You then are able to flip those for 4 breeds, because the market has to be tight, but you can flip them for 4 breeds either for a loss of around 0.03 ETH, or you can make profit on them depending on the market. So your total input cost is 0.18 for a 0 breed aqua egg that comes out in 5 days. Whereas we know right now, like the cost in a 0 breed aqua of any kind is 0.35 or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you can control the parents. You have a 97% plus usually that you're going in with. And yeah, so that's been my great move. So I did that now 5 times on aquas. That has led to my aqua farm they just came out, and I couldn't pull up because the marketplace is down too. DDoS is obviously killing it today. But they came out, I think it was like 95, 97, 97, 96. So that's a great place. And again, the input on all of that was about a third of what it would have cost to get 4 aqua eggs. Mm-hmm. And so so that's kind of the best advice I got.
Yeah, no, that's great. So my breeding has been a little all over the place. My goals were sort of piecemealed. I started as one of these people that thought, I'm not going to like breeding very much at all. And then the more I did it, the more I realized I loved it. And then I got lucky and bred 100% pure aqua way earlier than I should have in my breeding career. So that has really excited me to be like, dude, breeding is awesome. Oh my God. Sometimes you hit the lottery. And yeah, I really did just get lucky. I've got 30 Axies total. I've probably bred 35 times or something. Haven't sold that many, and yeah, I struck a pure. So solid stuff. I was breeding mostly aquas just because I liked them, and then I realized that the plant tank I bought a long time ago was 100% pure, but a 4 breed. So I bought another pretty decent plant tank. I don't know, at 95 or 97. Did 1 breed, and then that kind of like started off the beginning of my little plant subsidiary, and I'm building up these 2 aqua, 1 plant teams. And I'm not really sure what for, though, Dave. Partially because I want variety. So like I've got like that one tank that's got dual blade on his head with the Gary shell and stuff like that. So I've got some
Yep.
kind of weird tanks I want to experiment with. So some of it is just having variety. Like I intentionally mixed, is it Blue Moon that's on the back of the
Yep.
aquas? Intentionally mixed that into my pool because I just like didn't have it. I've been trying to breed a bunch of Babylonian perches or
Yep.
birches, I guess people call them. I haven't gotten a single one yet, and I have, dude, it's so frustrating. So that's kind of what I've been breeding for no reason other than I think it's a cool combo and I want to try it, and I refuse to buy one when I'm so close to spawning one. I can feel it. I just got to hit the dice roll. So, but what I'm realizing is that, all right, it's morphed. So
Yeah.
I love the idea of scholarships, and I kind of wish I could start one, but I can't. It's inappropriate. You know, I'm on the dev side. It's like I don't want the spam in my inbox, and it's also like a favoritism thing. But I would still like to provide the Axies, and I think I've found an opportunity where someone who runs a successful farm is willing to basically do like a 70-15-15 kind of thing where they run the scholarship. I just like provide the Axies for the scholarship fund. I guess kind of like what Bryce is doing with YGG. Like we
Yep.
provide the Axies, you run the scholarship, and everyone I've asked so far, like I feel like that's disconnected enough where in my mind it's like these Axies are just sitting AFK in my inventory. If somebody can play them, that's a net gain for the system. That's really
Right.
my goal. I'm not trying to make SLP, and I would only do it in a scenario. I mean, I wouldn't mind a little SLP. I'm not going to lie. I like breeding, but you know, the goal is just to get the Axies in hands of players and you know put them in a scholarship farm that'll give 70 or 75% to scholars. So that was my first kind of thought with it, and I haven't done that yet. They're all still just sitting in my inventory, and I've been talking to some like Dota talent and various other influencers that I'm friendly with that I've been trying to slowly, you know, like plant the Axie value proposition seed. You know, there were a
Yep.
couple when AXS was at 10. I was like, hey guys, you know, a lot of these are getting taken out of supply with the breeding, and there's a lot of stuff in the pipeline. You should maybe think about it. And some of them did buy it, and they've made like, you know, a nice return on AXS now. So
Yeah.
the trust is building. You know what I mean? Like I'm trying to convince, like at first, a lot of people I think thought that I was just kind of, yeah, you know, he's just selling out for some shitty mobile game, whatever. Yeah, money's money. And it's like, no, I actually think this is really cool. I actually think that we're going to change the world. And I think this is going to be the next like chain link of the bear market, if you will. I firmly believe that. And I've bought way more assets in this environment than I thought I would to sort of back up that bold claim, I guess. I really do believe in it. And I think it's starting to shine through a little bit. And I think I might just set up these scholar accounts and loan them to some of the Dota talent that are like various other talent that want to play but are still a little scared to invest. And since I don't really care about ROI that much, I'm happy to loan them out and they can farm the SLP. And if they bankroll that and buy a set of Axies because I enabled that, to me, that also feels like a net gain with these Axies. So
Oh, for sure.
that's my latest plan. And I didn't think there'd be that much interest this quickly, but Dave, everything's growing so fast, so much beyond like our wildest projections that it's getting attention from people way faster than I thought it would, even in my bubble. You know, the proof of concept is it's there. I don't even have to say it's coming. It's like, guys, just look at it.
Right.
So anyway.
Right. I had said to Elijah yesterday too. I was like, I don't know if we've like taken off yet, but I will say that the fuel is being added to the rocket ship right now. And so if you don't want to say that we've left Earth yet, like we are so freaking close. Like things are just igniting every day, and like one more spark, and that thing just is mooning. I mean, it's crazy. And that's, but also to your point too, you've been breeding, right? As you said, you have about 30 Axies right now. You're part of the problem. Like we need the Axies in the market to let people even play, because there's just not enough. There's nowhere near enough Axies for players right now. Like it's a crazy thing to actually think about, but we're almost 1-to-1 of the active users and Axies in the marketplace. I think we're like less than 5 Axies per user.
That's
right now or something like that, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting metric to look at, like the spread relative to the total volume. Yeah.
Right. And I consider that a ton. And like people were, I was actually having a conversation with Elijah, and this was maybe, I don't know if I think it'll be okay if I share it, but we talked about breeding, and he's just like, yeah, I think I'm done breeding right now. Like V2 is kind of on the horizon. lands on the horizon. Like, I just don't know what's going to happen with the assets or anything else like that. So like, I'm kind of nervous.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, well, let's take a look at this real quick. And this is probably when there was 1.4-ish million Axies. And I
Okay.
think we had just hit right around 300,000 daily active users. And I was like, just do the math on daily active users. And so if you just need to you need at least 900,000 just so those 300,000 can play. And that leaves you, what, 500,000 Axies? So you have less than two additional Axies per account available.
Mm-hmm.
And we have some people too who, like, they're giving their scholars, 10 Axies to have extra energy. So then now you're now taking that pool away too to allow other people. It's just a crazy dynamic, but I think realistically you need at least 6 to 10 Axies per player before there's a nice leveling out of, like, not this crazy buying habit. Because you have to just think about, you just even have one of every type of the regular types: one bug, one reptile, one bird, aqua, beast, plant. Like, that's 6 right there.
I don't have a single reptile or bug. I'm like very all in. I originally thought I was going to be a bird guy. So I bought a bird, and then I played like a couple like double bird tank lineups. I just really didn't enjoy the play style. And my original, like when I first got into Axie, okay, I'm going to spend half an ETH, and this is a meta team. This team's going to last me here. All right. Of course, it's a cottontail rimp in the middle, a dark swoop bird in the back, and a carrot tank in the front. So all three of them have some sort of a glaring flaw of like, yeah, I kind of had an okay formula, but really double Nutcracker would have been way better. Dark Swoop would have been key, and fuck Carrot, man. It's like really not that fun. It's not the worst, but like Hot Tail's so much better, or Hot Butt, whatever the fuck. And
Hot Butt, yep.
Is there another replacement to Carrot that's also decent as well? There probably is.
I like Hatsoon a lot. I think Hatsoon's really good and underused.
Yeah.
Yep.
I would tend to agree. So anyway, it made me feel like, not like I wasted my money, but I was really frustrated that I wanted to buy a 10 out of 10 team, and I bought like an 8.5 out of 10 relative to like the parameters of what I was looking for. And that made me appreciate how hard it is to understand the nuanced details of, I thought I understood it completely, and I really only understood the tip of the iceberg.
100%.
So then, I got owned by Aquas and then started buying Aquas.
That is very similar to my journey. I came in and I read all the white papers and everything over like 2 days, and I was like, I'm ready to buy my first Axies. And so I knew I wanted plant, beast, aqua at the time, because I didn't really look into birds. They weren't that popular from what I was reading. And so I bought an aqua again. Like, mine had swallow, so it has the healing mouth card.
Oh yeah.
And otherwise it was okay. It was Nemo. Otherwise everything else was good. And then my mech was good. It was Rimp double nut, so that was a solid purchase.
Okay.
And my plant was okay. Like, my plant was just kind of same thing. Like, it was like pumpkin, carrot, Sirius. It was all right. And so I felt good. I went to play. I won a lot. I think I got to 1,400 in my first day. I was like, dang, this is a fun game, but I'm excited to climb the ladder more. And we were in the middle of the season. And then I met birds. And then birds just absolutely destroyed me. So I think that was day 2. I was like, all right, whatever. It won't be all the time. I think I had a bird in 80% of my games, and they all little owl, and there was just nothing I could do. And so I was like, this game stinks. Like, this game stinks. I quit. Like, this is awful. The next day, and for the next week, I went from 3 Axies to 22. And I bought everything I could make. I had a flight to go see some friends, and on the flight, I had downloaded all of the card list from, I think, Axie Trends. I then created in my head what I thought would be good meta teams, and then I went and bought those to think that would be better. And then it was a fail. I spent so much money, and this was also on Ethereum. This is when gas was around 100 to 200 Gwei at a time.
Oh, nice.
It was, so I probably bought some of the most expensive trash Axies you probably could buy that were all like not meta, but never going to be great enough for meta too. So a lot of lessons learned there too, but you learn all the cards. Like, so I did to learn a ton of things about a ton of different types of Axies because I ended up buying so many unique and weird ones. But yeah, it was, it was a good one for sure.
Yeah, it's I'm definitely a learn by doing and learn by conversation, and it was a little hard to learn too because I I was introduced to Axie by Psych Out, and he's a really busy guy and has limited bandwidth. Like I said earlier, I can't spend an hour like onboarding you into the basics. You got to do it yourself. Same thing with me to him. So like I'll give you the Axies, but all right, sport, get out there and do some Googling. And that, I learn a lot from these kind of conversations. That's why I started podcasting in general, because I realized, hey, I'm not that great at Dota 2, but I'm an okay play-by-play commentator, and I'm okay at playing the game. But how do I really learn and retain information? It's from talking to other analysts and other pro players. Well, what's the best way to do that? Hop aboard the podcast train. It's all just training at the end of the day, right?
Yeah,
it's all just practice for how to host panels and do like a lot of commentary is basically just pointed, glorified podcasting anyway. So it just seemed like a natural crossover to me.
Very fair, very fair. And yeah, so I think that like well, first of all, we need to get you a reptile. Like that has to happen. We need to let you play with one. They are because they're one of the best classes. You also need to get a Dusk if you don't have a Dusk yet.
I do not have a Dusk. No, I don't have a Dusk or a mech.
If you want to get ahead of the meta, and this is the thing that stinks right now about, since I know you've fallen in love with breeding as I have too, and so things were cheap enough when I was experimenting for that mech comp that I wanted that I could play around with it, and it was great. And I was like, even if it comes out bad, like I might lose a few bucks, but it's not like I'm losing. I lost maybe like 0.1 ETH or not 0.1, but like 0.01 or 0.02. Not like I'm losing 0.1 or 0.2 Ethereum.
Yeah.
So it wasn't really that risky. But what I would say is that if we get a chance, or you are optimistic, or you find yourself in a healthy position to fool around with it, man. And I know that his name's escaping me. I'll pull it up real quick. But there's several people that are now just breeding into Dusk everything, and they're just basically running Dusk comps. Oh yeah.
Wow.
Like the shrimp into Dusk, so it looks like an Aqua, but it's actually a Dusk, because what you're covering. Dude. Well, because if you're covering basically the weakness to Dusk is Beast or Bug, and the strength against that is Aqua. So if you have a Dusk with all Aqua parts, it's one of the fastest Axies in the game and one of the healthiest Axies in the game from health baselines. That it really is just two dominants. Like it's a better version of a Aqua, in my opinion, because you don't have the weakness. You cover your weakness, and then if it's a plant attacking you, it's just like a plant attacking a plant, so the damage is less and everything like that too. So, I mean, it's dangerous. But yeah, reptiles are very similar to that, where they have enough damage output to cover beasts, and they can slow them down with Incisor or so many other builds. They have the Terminator build and all that. But yeah, reptiles are also pretty similar to a Dusk in that regard. They just have a lot of great base stats and great cards to play around with too.
I still have so much to learn about the meta. It's such a weird balance, because I know long term I'm not going to be doing a lot of Axie commentary, but something tells me in the first couple big Axie tournaments I will at the very least be hosting, if not doing a little commentary myself. And hearing you just explain all of that really puts into focus how I'm still basically at the tip of the iceberg. I'm just sitting there with my 2 Aquas like, oh, I think I can kill his tank this round. Oh man, I didn't do the math on that one. I'm over here in La La Land just playing cards, and yeah, you're talking about triple Dusk lineups. Like you're rocking my world right now, Dave. I need to sit down and do some studying. Jeez.
Oh yeah, it's once you dive into all of the actual statistics of everything, it's gonna be crazy. And that's also what I'm pivoting and waiting for is what happens in V2, because like the big question mark is skill. So there's 4 baseline stats, and different Axies affect everything from health, speed, skill, and morale, but no cards right now affect skill. So it's just a very weird thing where like the base Axies do, but then nothing else can affect skill after that. So I just find that very bizarre. So I really do wonder, do they change skill? Do they tweak it? Do they add cards that can affect skill? There's so many question marks around it. But
yeah, well, version 2 of battles, we've seen some leaks. They're on the way at some point in the near future. It does make you wonder, some of these elements, like as you're pointing out, it's not all tied together quite yet. I mean, on a very obvious level, we still don't have, we got 2 parts that don't really do anything right now. They're just aesthetic, It's in some of the cases I look at these, I'm like, well, it's a 4 out of 6, but does it really matter? You know what I mean? If it's like eyes or something else like that, like in a lot of these builds, it's like it takes a hit because it's not technically pure, but from like a battle perspective, it's all the same, man.
Yeah, all that. Yeah, the only thing I would say is that you can buy whatever you want to buy. Just make sure your baseline stat is what you care about.
That's
That's all
true.
that really matters.
That's a
So as
good
long
point.
if
Yeah.
you want to be a certain speed, make sure your speed's good. And so like in the second video I
Fair.
did is like showing
Yeah.
people when they search. I do a ton of things by whatever one card I want plus the speed's good. You then know you're going to average up there some way. So yeah, I've been doing a lot of that too, and you can find a lot of good deals that way if you
Hmm.
just are looking for like a competitive Axie.
Yeah.
But that was my flaw too. Is I raced to competing and not to breeding. Like I didn't figure out breeding until 2.5 months in. Like I didn't even really care about it.
Hmm.
Plus
That
gas
was
was
me too.
crazy,
Me too.
but yeah, yeah. I was just like, I'm gonna be the best trainer in all of Lunasia. That was my
Yeah.
goal.
But before Ronin, because I got in like right before that. So I
Yep.
experienced the tail end of those crazy gas fees. And I remember looking like $180 to breed, plus the SLP and all the other stuff. Like that was just way more than I was, quote, willing to risk on this new game. So to me, the value play was I'm gonna try to buy 3 and just really get comfortable. I'm committing to be the master of these 3 Axies. And of course
Yep.
that's a fool's errand after however many, 3,000 SLP later and 0 MMR gain. You're like, I'm not really sure Cottontail's as good as I thought it was. Like you see these Nutcracker Rimps just like, wow, he just comboed my tank through my brick wall. What in the
Yes.
world? I still hate dual blades, man. I really, I think. Do you play Dota at all? Are you at all familiar with Dota?
I am so very loosely familiar with Dota. I'm much more inclined to know everything about League, so I know the whole
Gotcha. Okay.
style of Dota, but I do not. I wouldn't know that the character's name or the moves.
I'm sure League has a comparable. You guys have a couple crit heroes that are pretty lame, but Dota
Yep.
has one called Phantom Assassin, and her ultimate is just 15% chance to do like 250 crit. Like level 2, it's 350, and then level 4, it's 450 or something like that. So
Okay.
she's just this super bursty, in my opinion, very lame carry that it's all about just getting to this point where you can jump on a backliner support and literally one-shot them. Wow, 1,600 crit first hit. It's like, okay, there's no counterplay there. That's not... I'm into crits, but one-shots are really anti-competitive, right? Because there's just no
Right.
counterplay. And maybe they have a time and a place if there's some positioning thing or whatever. But generally speaking, I don't think that's a fun game mechanic. And I would much rather see that crit normalized a little bit, like a 25% chance for it. It could still do a lot of damage. It's just the one-shot play is silly. Dual
Yeah.
Blades is too close to that for me. And for those of you that don't know, Dual Blades is the headpiece that is Sinister Strike that does a 250% crit when it crits. So it doesn't crit that often, but when it does, your tank's brick wall is going to crumble no matter how much you spent to keep that tank alive. And like those moments, I want to break my phone in half, man. I'm like, why does it do so much? Why? He just flipped a coin 5 times, finally got the dice roll he wanted, and now the game is over. Congratulations, sir. It's the crit of crits.
Yeah, that is true, and I wish so. That's a very interesting perspective on that too.
I
Because
don't think it's too broken, mind you. I just think it's the
yeah,
most lame. I don't even think it's that good. I just hate that when it does happen, like that psychological reaction is like I just hate it the most. I don't confuse it with me saying it's the most broken because it is definitely not that good.
right. No, I'm a big fan of it too because it is very high attack, obviously, still at base, but it's hard to plan for. Like you can't because usually you're still using enough energy to kill anyways. Like it's very rare you're gonna be like, oh, I'll use one dual blade and just hope for a crit this round.
Right.
I guess you totally could, but that's obviously a rare move or approach there as well.
Yeah. Anyway, I forget where I was going with all that, but I'm still I've joked about this. I think I said it last week with Elijah, but I did note that internally, and it was met with silence. So I don't expect Sinister Strike to be changed anytime soon. Luckily,
Right.
I'm not on the game development side, so you guys are safe. You guys are safe.
Yeah.
You just get to hear me complain about it. And, one day I'm going to play in this talent show match or something, and I can just I'm going to be matched up against Jiho, and he's going to have heard me say this 50 times by then, and he's going to be running some triple dual blade comp, and I'm going to get crit to death, and I'm just going to GG out of the tournament. And I can see it all, like it's happening. We're setting the stage for a great storyline here.
Right. No, that's hey, maybe you should start breeding them. Maybe you should get into the dual blade game.
Become the
Like
dual
just
blade guy.
yeah, like become, Ziori dual blades.
Yeah, I think the marketplace is still down, but I am pretty proud. I bought it sort of on a whim for one of the tanks. Like as you say, it's like it's a beast part, right? So he doesn't have quite as much HP, but just had this thought of like he's pretty cheap. I think maybe I could make some battle tanks, and in my head maybe that's crazy. And then I got lucky, and I was intentionally trying to breed it with the. I always forget what I call it, the Gary shell. I don't know what it's. Is it snail shell?
Snail shell.
The
Yep.
the stun one, the one that stuns, but if you break the shield, right?
Yep. That's right. Yep.
I just thought that'd be a cool combo of I've got utility, I've got my pumpkin and my serious per usual, but then I've got this crazy damage ability. Maybe it's dumb, but I haven't played with it yet. It's on my to-do list.
Oh no, do it. So that's not is your back pumpkin or your back snail shell? You said.
Yeah. Well, so I have both. I have one where his back is pumpkin, and I have one where his back is
Okay.
snail shell. So I can.
I think you're gonna find the pumpkin one is better or more consistent.
Okay.
Because you're gonna need the snail shell just has to hit, and then you have to be attacked into to have the value.
So it's kind of like carrot has that same vibe.
Yeah, fairly similar. But again, it's like you need it. Like if you didn't have Sirius, say you had like Herbivore or Zigzag, which are the two other mouthpieces that heal on plants.
Mm-hmm.
Say you had that instead of the Sirius move to steal, but you just wanted to get your energy from carrot, you have to draw a carrot and you have to be attacked to get that benefit. So that's kind of where Snail Shell is. I played around with one too. The only other downside of that too with Snail Shell is you lose health. So your speed maintains, but you lose health, gain morale. So that's the other kind of intrinsic downside. Whereas in the Beast, with the Sirius, you'll gain speed, so your speed will be up a little bit.
Which is I don't know.
Maybe you're okay with it. I mean, but again, like you could guarantee to kill that tank if you're going to attack first, because now your tank's plan is to attack into that tank. So I think if you ran like a dual blade Sirius pumpkin, hot bud, like that's a pretty hot Beast option. Like it's a very different mentality. But I think. I don't know if it was Indez.
You're speaking my language, dude.
Yeah,
ZYORI new meta right here. I can't wait for this next season to start. I'm going to be kicking some asses and taking some names, dude.
I don't know who said it, but I thought I heard someone say on some stream, maybe it was on one of your streams and they said it too, but I did agree with it, was like potentially taking a meta comp and making their frontliner actually do more damage with like decent walling. So like I did last season or 2 seasons ago, I played with a reptile frontline with no energy gain. And it caught a lot of people off guard because I had damage on every card. And I had a decent wall up there too that they couldn't kill it easily. Right. I didn't have any heals, but it just messed with kind of their mind as far as like what my tank was going to do.
Too many people have watched too many Indez videos where he said, just skip 3 times in a row. And now people kind of do it by default. I've had a couple games where I'm like, I've killed 2 of your Axies before you've done anything. And like it's like my lame non-meta strategy ends up being a counter to that uber meta. It's like that's if a StarCraft now. That's like the Zerg, instant what is it? Hatch, the instant hatch or whatever. You just expand immediately and go ultra greed and like I'm starting my macro right out of the gate. That's the Indez. Yeah. You just skip 3 times. And I'm the like Terran doing a bunker rush. Like I got 3 energy, I got 3 damage cards. Let's go, woo! And it's just 5 energy, 5 damage, and there you go. You're killing stuff. And
so that's along the lines of how Elijah and I are more in the camp now. I've always been a heavy attacker. Like it took me a while to actually see the value in skipping at all.
Same.
Or rarely. And so I do it a lot more. But Elijah and I have kind of moved more into the camp where if you have the right cards first turn, to put that tank down to even 100 health is such a tough place for them to be into, because now they either have to tank up if they tank and don't get any value of that. Like if they have 6 cards in that plant tank and they didn't use any in the first turn, now they have to use in the second turn, or they lost 6 of their cards that they now have 12 of.
Right.
Like they just lost half their card pool because that thing's going to die. Mm-hmm. So it does force the opponent's hand, but you almost have to have like 5 good attack cards or hope that you get a really good draw the second turn to finish the job.
Yeah.
To really make it valuable. But now him and I are definitely experimenting and doing more of that for sure.
Yeah, he kind of planted that seed, and now that I've got some hot butts to play around with, it's actually possible. It's insane how different it is having that extra. Like carrot is just so passive in general, and it's not even the carrot's that bad. I just don't like the mental process that I have to go through every single time I draw that card and go, okay, what are the chances he's going to do damage? And then like I almost don't want to play other cards with it, but then I start to think, oh, but I want to tank up my tank, but I don't want to do so much that I have a little bit of shield left because then it feels like a waste. And it's all of that is cumbersome. I just want to be like, I got hot butt. He has Sirius. All right. Sorry, Mr. Sirius. You can't steal my energy next round.
Right.
Way more straightforward and just as effective, if not more so. So win across the board for me. I'm playing the mental game too here, Dave. I don't have much bandwidth left at the end of the day when I'm finally sitting down to play Axie arenas.
That's fair too. Yeah, yeah. It is. It took me. I realized how much better I was off stream too, and it was
Yeah.
very frustrating to go into stream and then I just lose because I didn't pay attention to all the actual variables. If you want to be good, it didn't matter at the beginning when I was starting, when I was like 1200 to like 1600. But once you kind of crack into that 16 to 1800, and it depends on the time of the season, but if you're anywhere near the top 300, you can't not pay attention. Like you have to know everything that's going on, what cards were played, how much energy do you have, how much energy do they have, what cards have you used. Like there's just so much to keep on top of head when you're playing around with like the top 300 to 500 players.
Totally.
So
yeah, I haven't quite made it that high, but I've hit that 1600 buffer in this off season that you're talking about, where I've passed it once or twice, but I kind of get knocked back down right away. I'm really holding like 1550 or so, and I've been in a little bit of a holding pattern. I've done some breeding since then, and I'm excited to play with these new plant tanks. And I've got, like I said, I got Blue Moon mixed in now, and I think I've got a better koi backliner now. I need to look at. I just did a couple breeds hatched a couple last night, and I looked at them right before bed. And now the marketplace is still down, and I was excited to look at them and kind of analyze them with you here today. So I'm just a little bummed.
I think it might be up.
All right, let me
was
give
able
it a
to pull
refresh.
my team. I'm actually gonna run to the bathroom real quick if you don't mind.
No, you got it, man. No,
that
sounds great. Yeah, let's go for it. I'll switch to the full screen here. So yeah, I'm gonna refresh the marketplace, see if I can pull up the ZYORI'S inventory, but yeah, it did not work the first couple times. Well, you know, gang, some slight growing pains. Everybody wants to play Axie. All these other games want to be Axie. What you gonna do? God, our Sky Mavis devs are really doing God's work, though. It's a constant battle. These poor servers. Yeah, my marketplace is still spinning, so I have a feeling I'm going to get the account not found once again, which is always a little bit scary. I'm not going to lie. You know, that feeling when you see like... But the blockchain doesn't lie, folks. Don't worry. It's a famous saying internally. The blockchain doesn't lie, but sometimes the viewer gets confused. It's okay. We got it. That's the beauty of the blockchain. The data is there. It will all be fine, folks. Not to worry. We just need some distractions while we're waiting for things to become stable again. Oh, okay. I did get one Axie to load. Let's see if I do a fresh load on my inventory. Okay, well, we can look at Soraya, my Mystic. She loaded. That's nice. Yeah, and then I got a 505 trying to load my actual account. Or a 502, rather.
I was going to say, too, if you want to send me, I can try to pull it up for you, too. What's your...
Sure, I'll send you a link here. Yeah, it's weird that I can seemingly look at singleton Axies, but I can't look at a full thing.
Which I also want to say too, so we'll see if we pull this up, but one of the craziest things too, I've been talking a lot to friends and peers about too, just kind of the scale as to where we are now within Axie in the future. So one of my most popular videos on YouTube is the scholar onboarding one, and like how to create scholars. There's less than 10% of the views from the US.
Really?
And that's again how to create scholars. So there's been less than 2,500 views of that, and there's 27,000 total views. But the other countries listed here, it's crazy. Like, so Philippines is 10,000, which I think is just kind of naturally going to happen. But then you have Brazil at 1,000 plus, Thailand at 1,000, Indonesia at 600, Canada 500, Malaysia, Australia, Singapore, the United Arab Emirates, the UK, Japan, Morocco, Vietnam, India, Taiwan. Then it starts to drop off some really small views there, but it's just crazy how global it is. And the other country that's not on there, which I find really interesting, is China. Which I
Yeah.
don't know how much they use YouTube, because I think they have their own like
Yeah.
video
They
thing they
do.
use.
They've got
Yeah.
their own streaming platforms. Like I think you can access Twitch in China now, but it's it's not like the platform. They've got was it Billy's a big one now. They've got Douyu. Oh god, I used to be able to rattle them off so quickly. It's been a while.
Because you use them a ton for Dota too, because that's obviously a huge community over there.
Humao is another one. And what's the really big public one? Oh, I own some. Huya, that's it. Huya, Huya.
Yeah.
Those are some of the big ones. There's some others as well. It changes pretty quickly. It's very competitive. But Billy, I know it's sort of their version of YouTube for the younger audience. It has the younger demographic, and it's been growing like crazy. So yeah, I don't know. Axie in China is interesting. For the Axie video contest, I think we had 2 submissions that were in Mandarin.
Really?
So over 400 entries, and 2 of them were in Mandarin. So not a huge Chinese representation from like that. I mean, not that that's like a representative data set, but just to give you like a, sort of an arbitrary small data point. I don't know if Axie has really made it into China too far. I don't know what the legality of cryptocurrency is right now in China either. I know they've been cracking down on Bitcoin mining, but I don't know really what it looks like for the average user, right? Can the average citizen get access to Ethereum? That's a genuine question. I'm not sure.
All right, so I have yours up. I was able to get at least your
No
portfolio
way.
up.
You got my inventory?
Yep.
Oh, it loaded for me too. Okay. Oh, sick. All right. So I've screwed up. Give me just one sec here.
No worries.
But
yeah, I'll while you do that, I'll adjust that too. I think that is a crazy thing. I believe I invested into a coin called Zcash, and I believe that is made, or it's like it started in China, or it's like somehow tied to the Chinese government. I don't know. I forget the white paper now. It's probably 5 months ago I bought it. I still hold it, but it just felt like a privatized, like it's a little more secretive, where it doesn't actually show all of the transactions like at face on blockchain. You kind of have to go search for people and search to get who did what where, which I thought would be interesting for like like not to say like cartel and like drug lords or something like that. But I figured if you were going to use crypto, you'd probably want the most secretive one or hardest one to track who did what where. And so I figured at some point it would jump up. It did, but then it's jumped back down now since. But
interesting.
Take that for what it is. Again, it's been probably 5 months since I did the white paper or read the white paper on it. But
I've heard of it. Like I know that that's a cryptocurrency, but I don't know anything about it. So
yeah,
hard
but
to
I do wonder, because I would say, and you would actually know better than I, the 2 biggest gaming markets are China and the U.S. Correct, as far as like money spent and users, maybe not users, but definitely money spent.
I
Correct?
believe that is the case. It gets a little interesting, like how you start to define Europe in terms of that consumerism. If you lump in like Eastern Europe and all of Western Europe together into one big, like, this is the whole continent. That probably gives United States a run for its money. But in terms of singleton countries, absolutely, yeah, I think China and United States are pretty big demographics. I know for Steam specifically, that's a huge, China is like the market for them in terms of game sales and stuff. Mostly through their partner Perfect World. But yeah, I think part of Dota being a free-to-play game speaks to its demographics. Somewhat similar to Axie. It's really popular in Eastern Europe and Southeast Asia, as well as China and North America. But it kind of got its initial viral spread in those regions where I was like, whoa, this is a really cool free game. I can play Dota 1 with the Warcraft 3 client on private, Garena servers or wherever I connect to. And for a free game, even Dota 1 was, a fantastic value proposition for $0, or I guess the cost of Warcraft 3 CD keys back in the day. So value. But okay, so do you have my stream open? Do I need to share? Okay, so Yeah, I've got some interesting tanks here. I've got let's see, where's my original? Oh, I probably shouldn't have clicked. Okay, good, it loaded. So this is Big Green. This was my. I didn't even understand what pure meant when I bought him, and it said 100% pure. Oh, let me switch overlays here. He yeah, I was just looking for 6 out of 6. I didn't even know what 100% meant, but he actually was 100%. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
And that's where the love for plants all started. So as you can see, I started with some like double anemone type stuff, and then I realized, yeah, anemones are sort of cool, but there's a whole nother world to Axies. This stupid cactus, it started as like either an R2 or an R1, and it just took over my line. So I dumped a bunch of that.
With
That is
puppy.
possibly the shittiest thing possible to have with an on an aqua cactus, because you never go last. Like your whole thing is speed. It's just objectively bad.
Right. I totally agree.
Yeah.
But that's a good observation though. That's good analysis from you too to know that. Like that's you're already
Yeah.
growing and improving that. That's
So
awesome.
that's an example of I might have sold the I think I sold the parent perhaps. But an example of you see a cactus mutation in there, like what are the chances of that R2 hitting? If it does, it can really screw you up. So sometimes you really don't get lucky. A lot of Babylonia in here and a lot of perch. You see, I bought a couple 97s before things really popped off. Oh, thank you for the sub, Mystic Scholars. Appreciate you. This was my prized 100%, and I also got I'm upset about that R2 anemone. That was the bummer. But I also got a 99 that just has an R2 watermelon mutation, so also pretty solid.
Love that. Yeah.
So kind of hanging on to those two for now. I've considered maybe doing like if somebody else has the ideal pure 100, we could like breed them and then share the babies and split the cost. Toyed around with that idea. I might just hold it and see what happens. I think these pures are going to be pretty rare, so I've been kind of hanging on. And then these are my new guys. I was really hoping to get some birches, and unfortunately got slightly unlucky. I don't remember. I think I bred this guy as well. So just some koi perch, like fairly generic aquas here, and these two just bred a little baby. Blue Moon seems okay. Haven't played around with it too much. So in terms of the tanks, this is the dual blade guy. I know you're delayed, so I'll give you a second to catch up.
Yep.
But I forget how much I bought this guy for. I don't know if he'll load if I try to open it. But it was a steal, and I felt for 75% I was ready to roll the dice. So it's Hot Butt Pumpkin Dual Blade Sirius. And then I ended up getting the Dual Blade Snail Shell Hot Butt Sirius. And then I also ended up getting a Sirius Cactus Pumpkin Hot Butt, like your classic, just traditional damage tank right there. And then I would say slightly unlucky. Ended up with a Sirius Rosebud Pumpkin Hot Butt. And not super excited about Rosebud, but it's a fine Axie. You know, it's a fairly classic tank, 96%.
So Rosebud, so my feedback on that is Rosebud can actually be very good, and if you're playing against it, I always try to think of things like, what if you were playing against it, and your challenge would be, okay, it already can tank up, it can get up to 200 shield just from the pumpkin, and then you have the Rosebud that can then reheal it. So you need to know that whatever you're going to do with it, like you have to kill it, or you have to be able to kill it in 2 turns fast enough that it can't have the opportunity to heal. But for that dual blade, like where that dual blade is going to be good in a tank is you then have to you kind of have to pivot the way you're looking at it. So I pulled up the card list real quick too, because I don't know all of them. I know a decent amount of them off the top of my head. But one that I was thinking of was Bone Sail, and potentially
is that the lethal one?
No, so Bone Sail, Rugged Sail is Ivory. The card name is Ivory Chop. It's 80 attack, 70 shield. It's a reptile card, but you draw a card if the Axie shield breaks. So instead of the pumpkin where like you have to make sure your shield doesn't break, you still get 70 shield out of it, but it gives you a card draw too. So that if your tank's gonna die, kind of like Carrot, if you put it on there, you're gonna get another card. So I think that if you have that, because the only downside about the plant, how you have that right now with the dual blade, if you actually were to breed into it, if you could get a Bone Sail on the back of that, now you have 4 attack cards, but you have a decent shield up there with 70 on Bone Sail. The Hot Butt's only 50, but that's fine. If you went Hatsoon, you'd be at 80, and you could then have a nice wall. If you could put up 200 in shield and do damage to the other tank, and if dual blades in there too, I mean, you might put up 300 damage against a tank
That's
from your tank,
interesting.
which is crazy. Like that's a ton of damage. And if you're putting up 200 shield, you're probably surviving anything except for like double Ronin, double nut. Like you're
Yeah.
probably surviving anything else.
I've found cactus does feel pretty good, like that really classic, just serious cactus pumpkin hot butt on your plant
Yep.
tank. There's nothing wrong with that, but it feels coin flippy whether or not my tank goes last, because everybody has like the slowest tank, and then it
Okay.
comes down to number, right? So who has the newest one goes last.
Well, so it
Or
depends. So it depends, though. It really depends on your. So you're thinking only first turn, which you'll know when you look up at the top of your screen when you're going to battle. You'll know if you're first or last,
okay,
on that turn.
yeah,
So then how you can prevent that for the future is just do an attack the first turn, because if you have less health, that prioritizes beyond number.
oh, there's another parameter in there. If you have lower health, you go first or you go last.
You're first. So you probably lost a lot of
Oh,
battles actually in a 1v1 where it's like aqua, both full aquas. But because they had lower health than you, they might have planned to only play 2 cards. So they could maybe speed up, but also if they have less health than you, but they knew that you couldn't kill them, then they would know they would go first.
okay. So if your speed is exactly the same,
Yep.
then the next parameter is how much health do you have, and that's not current health. That's like total HP. Yes,
No, it's
or
current health.
current health. Okay.
Yep.
So it's speed, that's even, then current health. And let's just say you're both at full HP, you're both 61, so you're both even. Then it goes to number?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And it's always the lowest number goes first. So in the case of tanks, if you wanted to go last, you would want to have like a fresh one. I want like
Yeah.
a new tank.
That's where a plant farm's actually pretty great and genius too, because every new tank's actually a better one. As long as it still has 6 out of 6 or whatever the genes you want. Like,
Right. Like all things equal,
yeah.
if it's exactly the same traits, one with a newer number, a more recent breed
Yep.
is better for tanks.
Yes.
That's trippy,
Yes.
man. That's wild. That's so
Yeah,
weird.
so people do flip in there. Like if you're a competitive player and you do use plants in the front line, they flip out that person especially if you're a cactus player, to know that guarantee on that first turn, or almost guarantee that they're gonna go first.
Mm-hmm.
Or within 5 days. So they might phase a couple people, but like yeah, for just that small advantage in like the higher tiers, that definitely happens.
Gotcha. That's an interesting dynamic. So
Yeah.
yeah. Anyway,
It's,
this dual blade experiment might go bust. I thought it was cool. It's one of those things. Like you also have to remember, I'm breeding these like to learn, to experiment, to have fun, and also like these are going to be quote scholar type accounts for like my Dota friends. So like they don't have to be perfect. This isn't like for necessarily pushing the meta. If I give somebody this dual blade snail shell tank with 2 other aquas, like it's still okay. It's not. It's by far not the worst Axie I've ever seen. I still
right.
can't believe the floor Axies. The meme. There's no useless Axie. Some of these that I see sell at the floor are just. I feel like sometimes it would be challenging to breed an Axie with a worse set of skills for the current meta, and they still go like that if they're on the floor. Like, what does the arena look like at like 900 rating or something? You know what
So
I mean?
this is a great topic for discussion, because we've debated a lot of this. I've debated with a few other people. Is 2 things. One is, if you want to get to 10 energy, that's your fastest way, is buy Axies.
True.
And so if you want to buy just crappy zero breeds, eggs count as energy. So that's also why
Oh,
eggs sell so fast.
okay.
Because
That's good
if
to
you
know.
know you can get, if you can get a 15% return because the adults sell faster than eggs or at a higher price than eggs give you the energy to stay at 10 or 20. So people will just flip that in to get their 60 energy if they actually are a player themselves, to just
Oh my
maximize out their
gosh,
output,
that's so
sell
smart.
them when they're adults, and then buy the eggs back. And they might only make 10% or 5%, but if they still make 5% and they assume the market's going to go up, I mean, why not do it,
Yeah, that's
So
so
that's
smart.
yeah, so that's something that happens. And I think actually also why we're seeing this influx is because of the AMA and other events where like the kind of leak out there is that you're going to be able to burn or use Axies, and like it was reiterated that no Axie is a bad Axie. Like Axies will always have value no matter what they are, skill
Hmm.
wise, etc. So when you add that into it too, it's like, well, then why not buy the floor? Like if I'm going to be able to get some utility out of it,
If you're
maybe
long
that's the right
anyway,
thing.
then
Yeah,
maybe
if
it
you're
is
long
actually an
anyways,
okay investment. You don't know what the burning mechanics are going to be, but
right.
um, Yeah.
Because in your pool right now, do you have 5 Axies you would want to burn tomorrow?
No, because I sold the ones I kind of felt that way about, if that
Right.
makes sense. So
Right. No, 100%. That's what I do too.
yeah. But if I'd known I
So
could have burned them, I might not have sold them, depending on what the like kind of burn mechanics look like.
right. And so now that value that you had to even breed those, whatever that cost is, if it's up to like almost point 0.2 now for breeding, if you do 4 at a time, um, that's now your input cost to burn. So if you could buy them a week ago at 0.15, are you an idiot or are you the smart person? I'd argue they actually might be the smart person ahead of the game buying at 0.15 than us who might be burning the stuff that costs point 0.2 right now if prices were to hold.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Man.
I
Phew.
have no idea. Like it's very speculative. There's a lot of thought around it, but
Yeah.
I've challenged you like someone has to be onto something here. And the only thing that made a ton of sense was like energy, because if you can earn that much more, you're paying back those Axies off way faster. So I agree, like that does make a ton of sense in my head. But the only other idea I could think of was from the AMA and from the other conversations and kind of whether they call it leaks or rumors or FUD. I don't know if it's true or not, but that no, all Axies have utility and you can potentially um, destroy some in the future or use them in some other way. I mean, that's just so interesting.
Wow. Oh my gosh. We got another raid. Aromas TV. Jeez. I see a lot of hello from Argentina. All right. What's good afternoon? Buenos dias, buenas
Buenos dias.
noches, buenas. There's another one there. Buenas tardes.
Tardes, yep.
Tardes. That's it. I forget which one's an os and which one's an os, but yeah, buenos tardes. We'll play around with some gender. That's one of the things I love about Spanish. You get to make gender jokes so easily, built into everything, and it gets a laugh every single time. I love South America, man. The last two seasons of Dota, like the DPC, I was the host for the English South American Dota coverage. So I spent the first like 6 months of this year completely full-time immersed in South American Dota 2 culture. So yeah, I learned a lot, and I cannot wait until I get to go to South America, visit Brazil, swing by Peru, hang out in Argentina a little bit. I want to do the full tour, man. If you're down there, you got to see it all.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, this seems like they're from all over. You got Barcelona, Colombia, Venezuela. Like they're from all over the place.
Yeah,
That's
there you go.
great.
Look at that. Welcome, folks. It's been amazing to see Axie pop off in South America. I mean, I really did think it was a matter of time. I remember when like I was onboarding, the team kind of pitched me about the value proposition of why it's doing so well in the Philippines. And one of my first thoughts was, exact same logic, it's going to work in South America too. And boy, have we seen that. The scholarship farms down there have been exploding, and just been amazing to see the growth. Keep it
Oh,
up, gang. Keep
100%.
it up.
Yeah, we know. I know. If you, I don't know if you've talked to him, but Fujin, he's one of the newer kind of scholarship providers, but he's in Argentina and he's now kind of doing his own thing for the Argentinian community. But he's a great guy. And he's been trying to grow that out too, just trying to create more South American scholarships and focusing on that community, which is great.
Yeah, and one thing I'll throw out there that I still think there's a lot of like there's room for some quote unquote free content for those that are willing to do a little translation work. That's one thing. We don't have the resources yet to get Axie in all the language and all the distribution it needs to be, and that's one thing I've been trying to encourage everyone. Like translating our posts and our contests and all that kind of stuff into the local tongue and helping us spread those, into the local communities that might not be super plugged into Twitter or the Discord, for example. That is so hugely helpful. Just the communication involved with all this data, this like revolving door of the 24/7 Axie metaverse, like it just never stops. So, helping spread that information, that's like one of the best things that you can do to help, even like on a small individual scale. So, appreciate all the work done so far. Keep it up, everybody. It's been amazing to see this ship continue to grow. Like you said earlier, man, if we haven't taken off yet, we are like preparing for launch, man. The ship is shaking, the thrusters are on, and we're about to launch the boosters,
Oh, that's exactly how I feel. I'm just so excited for all that. So what's your so as you look forward, what's your next moves? Are you going to go back and have you bought items yet? I know we haven't talked too much about that, but like, have you gotten items? Are you looking to more lands? Are you looking to add origins or any
Yeah.
MEOs? Like,
Um,
I saw you had a Japanese real quick in your portfolio. I saw one in there. Have you
I've
done any Christmas part? I know you bought the Frosty too, right? So let's
Yeah.
talk about that.
So here, I guess I can show it. It's pretty nice the way Axie ends up breaking up your inventory. So the low numbers. I've got the Mystic now. Again, big shout out to Coco for making that possible. Just amazing. I couldn't be more happy with 2206, aka Serenia, or Soraya rather. Serenia is a drug. My bad. Soraya here. I love the Candy Babylon. I love that she's an Aqua. I love that it's an Aqua with a Mystic Aqua part. And I love that I have so much like Babylonia in my lineup. It just feels very on brand. I love Ronin on non-beasts. You know, like the blue ponytail just looks so sick. I think the fan tail, or the feather fan rather, as a tail really ties it all together. And I mean, look at those Lucas eye dudes with Lamb. It's like so much energy, so much anger. So there's anger behind those eyes. I love this Axie, dude. I feel like it represents me so well. It's pink and blue. That's me to a T.
Yeah. I also love the Nyan ears. I'm a big Nyan ear fan.
Yeah. Quality.
Next to Puppy, I think Nyan's just one of my favorite ears.
Well, and the Nyan has a little pink in it, which weirdly matches the Candy Babylonia as well. Here you go. Oh, account not found. Yeah, anyway, so yeah, I bought Mr. Yams here, the Mako Singleton Japanese. This I bought right after. That happened right after, I think, my first meeting with the company. That was like the big news that we were announcing, retiring Japanese parts. So I saw him on there. I was looking for one. I was like, the Mako's kind of cute. People are dumping these. All right, I'll pick him up. And my big regret was I didn't even think at the time about, whoa, you could have multiple Japanese parts. Like, that was a revelation to me. So that's how noob I was. I didn't even think about it. So I bought Mr. Yams for like 0.03, like some really, really low amount. And then I saw this guy who's got the Karimata and the Yen eyes. And this was a total steal. I forget the number because it's not going to load now. But whatever the floor was for 2X Japanese parts, this guy was way lower. And I think Karimata is one of the rarer Japanese parts. It's in like the top 4 rarest or something. So this guy is not like crazy rare, but he was just a total steal. And that rounded out my Japanese collection. I think I might have paid like 0.08 or something. So super cheap, I think, for a 2Xer.
Which on that too, Karimata is the second rarest.
Second rarest. And what's the first one?
Much. Mon.
Yeah,
so Mon, it looks kind of like a little sushi earpiece. It looks like the main one's ear wing is the regular part, but it looks very similar, but it's kind of like more sushi-esque.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not that much less rare. Like Mon is 187, Karimata is 232. So I mean, it's the next one after that I think is like 500. So like those two are very rare parts. And Yen, to my knowledge, is the only blinking Japanese part.
Oh, so it's like a little animated like that. Okay, so this is actually a pretty cool 2X Japanese. I got pretty lucky. I was just looking at the market at the right time. But
I think so for sure.
Shout out to AK for that tweet that got me thinking about it.
Yeah. I'm a big Blinky fan, especially like for the Frosties or the Yen too. So I've been trying to eye a Yen part that I like or a Yen Japanese I like to buy one. But I haven't found the right one yet. Yeah,
the prices have gone up. And like for Mr. Yams, he's like super cheap. And for me, he was my lowest number Axie for a long time, like, you know, five numbers. And at the time when I bought him, I never thought I would be able to afford a Mystic. So I love that he's like a black aqua. That's just really cute. I love that he's got the clear eyes with the risky fish. Of all the Japanese parts, Mako's my favorite except for Maki. And just that he's got an enemy on his back at the time. Like my aqua pool started with an enemy. So as you can see, for me, it's like an emotional thing. Like I identify with Mr. Yams because he's on brand for how I started my aqua pool. So you know, it's not that he's worth anything to anybody else, but to me, he's just such a perfect fit. You know, it makes me want to get a little Mako.
100%. That's awesome.
So then that takes us to the Frosty, recently renamed to Tallulah here. She is a triple Christmas, right? We got the cactus with the package. We got the pine cones, and then we got icy glaze is the eyes.
Yep.
So those are the 3 Christmas parts. And again, love that it's an aqua. Love that it's a Nemo tail. Got a ton of that in my breeding lines. And of all of the Christmas ones that I could afford, I thought this was by far the cutest with the mint back. and
Yeah.
I paid point 0.8 for this, and that was the floor actually. So anytime I see an Axie where it's the floor for what I'm looking for, it was like the floor for a 3x Christmas part.
Yeah.
And I also look at all the others and go, I think the floor is the cutest one. To me, that's like, okay, the stars have aligned, just buy it. That's like,
Right.
you're going to regret it if you don't buy it and somebody takes it from under you. So at the time, point 0.8 was the most expensive Axie I owned. And yeah, so that's the extent of my collector Axies. And the Mystic is new. That's been my most recent purchase. And yeah, like I said, couldn't be more happy. So not the biggest set of collector Axies, but I'm pretty happy with my decision so far. And I think 3 of the 4 here will appreciate nicely. I don't know if Mr. Yams is really going to appreciate so much, but I do expect the others to do okay.
So what do you do? What's your eyes on next? Do you, like, I feel like everyone has a goal next. Is it just the farm? Are you trying to gonna get some items?
Well, I have definitely overspent on Axie. Like I have set my limit of all right, this is the most I'm willing to put in.
Welcome to Axie Infinity, because that is literally everybody.
Like I've crossed it 5 times now, actually 5, and the Mystic. The Mystic was too good to pass up, but it was like I liquidated all my Bitcoin. I feel a little naked right now. My crypto holdings are like my Axie bag, some AXS, and then a couple of like DeFi staking long-term plays. I do have 2 land plots. We'll see if it loads here. Maybe not.
Oh, you do. I knew you bought one. I didn't know if I knew you bought the other.
Yeah. So I bought the first one for 2.5 in it's like negative 97. Like 5 or something like that. I don't know if people can.
Is that forest or Arctic?
Can picture plots. That's Arctic within the river.
Oh my gosh, Arctic 2.5. That sounds like forever ago.
Yes, it was. So I bought that one in like April or maybe slightly after. I had bought my initial set of Axies. I was FOMOing super hard. I was seeing how fast land was going up, and yeah, of course it didn't load here. But I bought that one after looking for a little while. And again, like when I was moving to ETH through the bridge, I was sitting there just like, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Yeah. It's out of my account. It hasn't loaded yet. Where is it? So I feel that pain point for our users more than they'll ever know, because I really felt that like this is more money than I feel comfortable losing. I'm okay investing it, but if this transaction gets messed up, this is 2 ETH is a decent amount. That's rent for a couple months there, bud. Obviously, it all worked just fine. And I bought that land plot just on the auction house, but I ended up buying it from Max Brand 99. Weirdly enough. And I didn't realize that, but I just met him as a community member and we were talking about it. And then he started telling me about the whole plot in that area. And he tipped me off that the one above me that was connected to, it's like, what do you say when it's diagonal to a node? It's not touching, but the corners are touching. So
I don't know what I call it, but yeah, I know what you mean.
It's like almost touching a node. As close
kitty
as you
corner
can get.
Or catty corner.
Catty corner, probably. Yeah. So, but it's connected to mine. Like, so AK owned the plot right above mine. And at that point, I was like, okay, this is again sort of too good to pass up. Like, this isn't a marketplace transaction. This is like somebody that we know that has it, owns it, and is willing to sell it. And it was another one of those Axie moments. I was like, I just said I'm only going to buy 1 plot of land. 2.5 is already more than I want to put in, but I've already seen how much it's appreciated. All right, let's do it. So I've got 2 Arctic plots, and they are connected, and they're pretty close to a node. They're not like on the node, but they're like right there. So that's it. I think now, given land prices, it's unlikely I will be able to afford extending my estate, but I'm happy with that start. I feel it at peace having 2 instead of 1. I think right now, if I didn't buy the second one, I'd feel a little like, damn it, I've only got 1 plot, and that's just not enough. And I know 2 isn't like enough either, but it just, I can say I have an estate. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just pure vanity.
And that was kind of similar to me. I bought my 1, and I think I paid 1.2 for inner river forest. Kind of similar, like not on the road, but not on the node, like kind of in between. And so I forget the name of the guy who had it. He had a couple. He had like a whole 5 or 6 of them. And so I was trying to buy one of the neighboring ones, and he had them listed, I think at the time, for like 2 ETH or somewhere around there. Like it was expensive, or maybe it was like 1.8. No, it was more. It was like 2 ETH. And I was like, hey, so I just bought this other one for like 1.2. What if I offered you like 1.5? And I think the math at the time for Ethereum would have been like $4,000. And I think
Yeah.
on my initial plot I spent like 2,500. And so I told him, I was like, hey, like what if I just gave you, that like once five, it'd be an appreciation of what I bought the other one at, but like it's obviously not 2 ETH. And he's like, yeah, like I really think this is gonna sell. And I remember calling my friends who are not in Axie yet, but I was like, I just offered some idiot who spent probably $200 on a forest thing. I offered him $4,000 and he turned me down. At that point, I was like, holy shit, this is real. Like this is all real. Like my bet on forest is real. Like this is all actually happening.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the moment it clicked in my head. Like for there to be someone who knows he's about to like 200x on his investment and had the fiat cash ready to go, or 20x, whatever it was. I don't know what the math would be, but it was like a crazy return. And for him to be like, yeah, it's gonna sell for way more than that, and I'm
Yeah.
not even gonna do it right now. It was just like that was a light bulb in my head that was like, holy cow, this is all like I should go further into this. But
Yeah, I had like a follow-up light bulb that's tangential to that when I saw some big sales, and then I went, wow, people are like, what is this, like an exit? And then you look at the Discord and people go, or like on Twitter, oh man, I didn't really mean to sell that. I listed it a really long time ago and that was an egregious price and then forgot. Oh, no. So it's like even some of those big sales where you go, wow, look at the Mystic floor is really going up. Sometimes a portion of those were not really intended sales. They're just old listings that, you think it's really easy to remember, but there are people that have, 40 land plots, hundreds of items, thousands of Axies. It gets easier to forget than you think when all this stuff is moving so quickly and it never stops.
right.
I do have some land items, not a huge amount. Again, I wish I could pull up my inventory. Well, I'll give it a chance to load here. And oh, it did. Okay, so we can take a peek. I've basically been taking my breeding profits and putting them into items, and I was
Interesting.
really slow, mostly just because I'm over my limit, and I think items are valuable, and I've seen how much they're appreciating, and I wanted to have at least a basic set. So I went for a couple trunks. I think this beach trunk, or whichever one is more valuable, the rare one, the sturdy trunk, that's been my most recent purchase. I think I bought that for like 0.3. But
Okay.
chopping speed, Baranar sold me on that. You want to cut trees fast, classic Baranar. Travel pouch, right? What do
Yep.
these do again? Are these movement speed? No, they're drop rate,
No,
right? 10%
travel-
chance for drop.
That's drop rate improvement. Yep.
These have been going crazy. I bought one of them a while ago, and it's gone like 5x. And this other one I bought very recently, and I think it's already appreciated like 50% or 80% or something. Side tables, these are experience, I think, right? Additional.
Ooh, don't know side tables actually off the top of my head. I'd be curious to know what those are. I think they are experience, if I can recall right, but I don't have any of those.
See if it loads. Yeah, that was the
Or
again.
the shrub. I actually have never looked at that shrub either.
Yeah, so I bought the side table common as one of my first ones because I thought I play World of Warcraft. Experience is good, and yeah, I think it's like 3% experience. The rare one's 5 or 10, so you should level up your Axies a little faster. They've
Yep.
appreciated some. I don't know if they'll actually be that valuable. Phantom
What do you
Altar.
mean you're pumping them right now? That's your pump.
Oh, there you
Guys,
go.
experience matters. Get the side tables.
Get the side tables. The Ave Phantom Altar. This is map speed, right? You just move faster. Wish I'd bought
Yep.
way more of those. They've gone crazy. A lot of people think movement speed is good. I think the shrubs increase Axie max HP when you're on Arctic land, or maybe it's not Arctic. Let me take a
probably
look here.
forest land. If it was
Axie item list. There's like somebody made that website that has all the items listed. Is it Freak's website that has them all listed out here? So let's take a look. All the rares. Although is Freak's website down too? Don't tell me it uses the blockchain. No. Foiled again. Who's got a list of the Axie items? I don't remember what they do. I'm so embarrassed here. Okay, autumn shrub. I found one. So the autumn shrub, it just okay. So the autumn shrub just increases Axie HP by 5% when battling Chimera, out independent of where you are. So
nice. Okay, yeah, I like that.
Yeah, they seemed like really cheap for how useful they were. Of all the other things that are really specific, I thought, 15% HP, that could be a make or break. I could see it.
Yep.
So
that's me with the totem poles. If you haven't looked at those jolly crazy totem poles, that's been one of my favorite items. I think about 4 or 5 of them.
Increases
Um,
stats. Yeah. Okay.
all stats. It's just all stats. Period. Like when you're on land play. So to me, that
Yep.
just feels like a pretty easy.
That seems good.
Yeah, it seems like it's gonna be pretty good.
Yeah, one thing I wish I could almost like go back in time. I know FOMO, like hindsight's always 2020, but man, I see why that one bundle of those mystic items sold like crazy. The plushies, like the aquatic plushie that increases your stats and your travel speed in one item, like damn, I wish I had one of those. That is like the one item I really have had my eye on of those are value, and I think that much movement speed. It's 10% movement speed and 20% like whatever it is. If it's an aquatic plushie, then it's
Aqua,
just
yep.
aquas. But
Yep.
20% base stats. If you got triple aquas, like that's a lot of stats, dude. That's
Well, remember too though. So the other one to pay attention to is the secondary, or they call them the rare class, but like just
mhm.
bug, bird, and reptile. All of those are drop rate instead of
Oh,
movement
you're
speed.
right. It's movement speed and drop rate.
Well, it's
Ooh.
no, it's stats and drop rate. So it's movement speed for like the beasts, plant, aqua, but then it's drop rate
Oh.
for the reptile. So I want a
Whoa.
reptile plushie just because of that. Because
Okay.
I thought that drop rate, ooh, that seems pretty nice to get some extra drops.
Yeah. No,
And it,
totally.
and they've said repeatedly that if you are the landowner, so since you own land too, you have first right to the stuff that drops or is on your land, or something like that. Like you're
Yeah,
able to
there's
or, like, you're
some.
able to farm your land first. It's like you have the option to farm your land first. So I'm sure it's like a time based thing. Like if you're not there, then
Yeah.
someone else can farm it. But yeah,
Now, one item I've always, and this is, I guess, like kind of mythical in the Axie space, right? These Maker DAO statues. You know what I'm
yeah,
talking about? The ones that
oh
have
yeah,
the mystic one, 5% greater chance to spill Luna tokens when traveling over land that this item is placed on. So, like, you just by doing stuff have a chance. It's like, hey, here's a token, man. Ah, here's another token, man. You just dug it up. Look at that. That's pretty
right.
cool. Like that's some of the wild, and obviously Luna is not part of the universe anymore. So these items are going to be changed somehow. Like, is that going to be AXS? Will that be SLP? Like, who knows? But you know that there's some change coming to these. But these are pretty rare, right? Like they're crazy expensive on the marketplace. I don't think there's that many of them.
No, they're stupid rare. I think that there's I don't quote me, but I think there's less than 100 of them.
Oh
In
wow.
beauty
Okay.
each. Like I think they're like
Yeah,
pretty dang rare.
that's ultra rare.
Um,
That's
I can try to pull it up to make sure, but yeah, they're those are crazy. Those have been expensive. Those have been expensive since I got into the game. Like even since February, plushies were like an ETH or like maybe point 0.8, something like that. So they've obviously appreciated. But I remember those were super expensive. Kind of the kitsunes are also super expensive too. There's
Mhm.
speculation the coin gecko and Ganbaru are going to go up too, which is like the pig one and the little gecko statues that don't have the best abilities because they're tied to bird or reptile. But I think that they're just like they're rare. Like they're kind of a one-off and they're tied to a company, almost like the altar
Yeah.
is too.
Yo, yeah, yeah. I forgot about that one
Oh,
also.
so here you go. Here you go. The Maker Dow Gold, there's 19. The silver is 29 and the bronze is 39.
Wow. 19.
Yep. Tanuki is 36. Kitsune is 39. The Chimera plushie is 217. And then like all the other plushies are around 200 to
Wow.
220.
Man, I knew these items were rare, but I didn't quite realize some of them were like double digits rare. Holy
Yeah,
crap.
I
That's
mean they are rare, yes. So that's also why I think that they have just always been crazy expensive
yeah.
within the marketplace.
Now, I will say, I have wanted to buy some items based on aesthetics, and I've used my better judgment. Like those pink wildflowers. If anybody's got a couple of those laying around, I don't have any bugs, but I think they increase bug defensive abilities by 10%. Not very useful, but very attractive. And I don't know, there's a Dota meme in these items. The boots of
Oh, is
travel.
there?
Yeah, increase ataxi speed by 15% when battling Chimera on Arctic land. The description: positioning is key. Just ask Merlini. Merlini is a
Mm,
Dota 2 retired pro player and commentator that was known for pioneering the when you go mid, you buy boots of travel first item so that you can run around the map and kill people faster. It's
interesting.
one of his hallmarks that he helped popularize. So yeah, it's a common meme in Dota. If somebody buys boots of travel first item, they will make a Merlini reference. So I feel like I need a pair just to be on brand. But every time I
100%.
look at the price, I go, this item's really bad for me because I have mostly aquas that are going to be on land, and I don't need 15% increased speed for my aquas when battling against chimeras. I think I'll be okay.
Right.
So it really is not a good item for me, but I'm just waiting. I feel like if I say this enough times, one day Psych Out will be like, "You're right, this is on brand," and just gift me one of his extra boots of travel. So I'm laying the groundwork here. You see, very
Love
subtle.
it. No, that's smart for sure. But yeah, there's another. That's I think going for the plushie is the right play next. I think that's a good one. I think they're just again they're very limited. They're
Yeah,
cute. I think they'd be cool on a land as well. And you have an estate, so you got to start building up. Like you got to start.
I know.
You got to fill 2 plots of land. Like I have one.
Yeah, I don't know how many
100% like
items will fit on each, but I think I still have room. I've got 2 plots and what is this? 10 items? 9 items? 10. So yeah, not a ton. I'm
right.
working on it. So yeah, that's why I've been kind of reinvesting some profits. I've been expanding the farm, but also trying to buy other stuff because, yeah, it feels like there's a really, what's the way to say it? Maybe not diminishing returns, but a big difference. If you're willing to buy 2 plots of Arctic, it seems silly to have 0 items. And maybe I
Right.
go cheap on items, but like you want to have
You got
some
something.
items.
Right.
I am pretty convinced in the value proposition of like items have like no utility right now, but obviously when gameplay comes out, I expect prices of items to probably go up in general, but also shift around a lot. Like some of these that we think are good are probably going to end up being not so great. And some of the ones that are undervalued right now, we're going to realize like, oh my God, these Chimera have some other thing that we didn't realize. And like actually having extra crit is super, super good. And everybody's buying up these crit items. Like I totally expect some curveballs
Right.
and like some of our assumptions to be simply put, just kind of wrong, right? We're really guessing right now. And we probably got it more right than wrong, but I doubt we've got it 100% figured out as speculators here.
Right. No, I think owning a wide variety is probably better than like specializing. Like I am pretty heavy into the Jolly Crazy Totem because I don't think they can mess it up much more than it is.
True. Yeah. Well, that's how
But
I felt
yeah,
about experience. Like, how do you screw that up, right? That's just a key part of Axie farming. The faster you get XP, the faster you can grind, man. There you go. That's just math, Dave.
right, right. So but I think it's the broader reach you get, you're gonna hit on some and lose on others. But I think it's a nice chance to try to find some other rare or helpful items for sure that you can use in the future.
Yeah, totally. So I don't know. I'm my goal in a lot of blockchain crypto stuff, if I can even break even learning, I consider that a win because a lot of cases like knowledge isn't free. So if I can make money learning and have stuff appreciate, then I feel really good. And any scenario beyond that where I actually breed something smart or innovate something, that's just like a cherry on top. It's like you have a analysis on one side that's kind of like deconstructive, and then you have synthesis on the other side that's like reconstructive. Like, all right, we pointed out all the holes in the system. Now, how do we use this data to rebuild it with less holes? The synthesis is really the important part. Tearing stuff down is a lot easier than rebuilding it a lot of times.
Right.
So,
by the way, someone just quoted in there. That's just math, Dave. ZYORITV. I love that.
That's just math. All right, that's just. Experience is time, baby. There you go. So yeah, my strategy's all over the place. I want to have a little bit of everything. I didn't want to be a land baron, but I definitely wanted to have enough that I can have a meaningful participation when land comes out. Same with Axies. I don't want to have like thousands of them, but I'm enjoying breeding at my own pace and putting together my own little, kind of aqua plant sort of vibe, although it seems to be increasing in popularity. Like you said, a healthy spread, diversification within the Axie space. Although
Right.
my breeding's been slowing down. I don't know about you, but with the cost where it is, I'm still breeding some, just much more tactfully, and a lot of them I'll do like 2 where I would have always done 4 before.
Yeah, I have to. That's my assessment today. So just again, maybe I didn't do the math. So maybe Dave didn't do the math right, but I decided yesterday, I was like, SLP is going down tomorrow. And it fluctuated down yesterday, I think down to like 26 or 7. So I put an alarm on my phone for when it went to 27. And it hasn't gone down since. It obviously hit the all-time high yesterday or early this morning. And now we're still at 37. And I'm like, gosh, dang, I should have bought at 28. Like, what was I doing? What an idiot.
Yeah.
Because I plan to breed, and now I'm so far behind in my SLP count. So I
Yeah.
might just go to my scholars and say, hey, if you're available, I don't really care how much is in your portfolio, but if you want to cash out today, uh, we'll do a special cash out right now because
Yeah.
I am so out of SLP.
Yeah, no, it's tough, and I do. It's like AXS is it's valuable, and I do
Right.
like 4 AXS per breed. There's a little part of it. I said this to Elijah. Like I feel like I'm burning votes a little bit, and like I know breeding is worth it and it's profitable and it's like a worthy trade off, but. I do frame it that way in my head. Like, as a DAO, as this thing continues, AXS has a lot of value from like when the DEX is out from a staking perspective. There will be like returns there. But yeah, I think my goal is kind of to amass as much AXS as possible, and that goal is a little bit at odds with breeding as much as possible. I have to kind of pick one a little bit, so that's why I got one foot on each base where I'm slowing down because I kind of want to maximize my AXS holdings as much as I can. And I don't know if I have the right strat. I'm more just, I'm an emotional investor. So I have a feeling that I want to hold on to my AXS. So I'm going to listen to my feelings, Dave.
Yeah, not financial advice, but as a new employee in the company, he is leaning into AXS. So,
Well, no, I
and
mean, it's really like a breeding. It's a hard trade off because I love
oh, it's
breeding
cool.
too. And then sometimes I look and go, oh, I'm only hatching one Axie today. Well, shit, why didn't I just breed a whole bunch more? No matter what
Right.
I do, I always feel like there's a better decision that could have been made. So, none
I
of
feel
it's
that
financial
100%.
advice, but it's really hard to read. You never know which way it's going to go. The AXS price has been great, but democracy's cool too, man. Votes in the ecosystem. Count me in.
Yeah, my goal
Get your
was
voice heard.
I took some profit, and then I was like, all right, I'm gonna have a fixed minimum now of AXS that is like my 2 stake at some point. And then I basically now am a buyer of AXS whenever I breed. So whatever the true cost is what I'm paying every time I'm breeding now. Which again, to your point, like, is it the right play? I have no idea, but I feel like it's probably the right way to just evaluate things right now. Because like if it's not profitable to breed for, but it was on old prices, well, I can't buy more AXS except for at the price right now. So I feel like I'm kind of stuck with it. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
been my MO going forward.
It's pretty wild. When are we going to hit Axie 2 million? We did. No. We did we? We did.
Oh,
We
we
passed
did.
it.
We
We
did.
way passed it. God, I
Way
bred
past
one
it.
past 2 million, didn't even notice. Oh my gosh. Oh, I missed my party poppers. Oh, wow. I was going to crack a bottle of champagne or something. Okay, well, congratulations on 2 million Axies, everybody. Woo! When are we hitting 3 million at this rate? Let's just keep 10 million's like around the corner. That could, I don't have the math in front of me, but it feels like at this rate, we could hit 10 million before the end of the year.
So it took 19 days, was a million Axies.
I think the math checks out.
I think the math checks out too.
Now,
So
obviously, it might not stay at this pace, so that's
1.5.
the key caveat. But all things equal, wow.
5. So that would be 7.5 million plus the other right now, which is another 2 weeks. So yeah, you're looking at, no, it's going to be so dang close.
It could
would have to
be
speed up.
close. It'd have
It
to
has to speed up.
accelerate. Okay.
Yeah, you need at least a little bit of acceleration to get to 10 million by the end of the year.
Good math.
But
Good
dang,
math.
it's going to be close.
But even
so,
to
like,
think that like January is a conservative estimate to hit 10 million is
I mean,
that if you had told me that a month ago, I'd say, Dave, listen, you seem like a cool guy, but you need to lay off the sauce. All right.
yeah. Yeah, I don't. The big question is, because I think the shocking thing was AXS moving to 4, and now everything's in parabolic. Like SLP, I mean, what is it now? Quadrupled in like 2 weeks, and AXS kind of the same thing. Like, the question is, like, is that going to change? Does that get better? I don't know. Like, so many questions, because like now entry to Axie is expensive. Whew, there's just so many things to like debate. I'm happy I'm not in GHOs or Psych Outs or Trunks or anyone else in the corporate office's shoes to make those decisions, because like I know they're trying to pull some strings to make the right decisions to help the community at large, but it's almost like out of their hands now. Like it's just kind of
Yeah.
whatever they do, the market's going to do what it wants to do because there's just too many people
It's a
getting
great
into it.
power. It's like little tiny changes have great ripple effects. You know,
Right.
breeding's now 3AXS. Like, okay, whoa, that's like almost a shock to the system. Everything gets readjusted. All these numbers shift. So yeah, it's with great power, great responsibility, and
Yeah.
it's being displayed before us here. But confidence couldn't be higher. I think so far they've navigated it with great grace, and hopefully that continues. I couldn't be more bullish, man. Yeah,
Awesome.
I love conversations like this. They just make me so excited about Axie. That's how I ended up getting this deep. You know, my onboarding was just reaching out and chatting with, key community members, and every person I talked to genuinely made me feel like, damn, I am missing out by not playing this game. And that created that feedback loop of the more you play it, the more you enjoy it. So, Dave, I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for that. Those 2 hours flew by. You were right. You are quite the conversationalist, my friend.
Hey, I knew we'd have a good time on the show. I really appreciate the invite. And again, I think it's been great what you've been doing in the community, bringing in some of the other content creators, just having great conversations. And thank you for all who tuned in today, obviously. And I
Thanks
know
for the
that a lot of
raids. I mean,
my
geez.
yeah, all the raids, and then I had a lot of support from kind of my channel that came in today to say hi. So thank you guys if you support my channel, I appreciate it. But ultimately, ZYORI, thank you for having me on, and just excited to see everything grow. I mean, it's a shame we didn't get to scrim today, but we'll definitely have to do it in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess like for a real leak on that front, very much aware that the recent esports events have been in turmoil because the challenge system is offline. I experienced that last week when Elijah and I popped on and went, "Oh wow, the challenge system isn't online. Wonder if it'll come back." And I did some investigating behind the scenes, and there's an issue there. So. Appreciate everybody's patience on that. We're working on it. We're working on an announcement with some details about what the solution is there, what we have in store, and what the plan is for esports for the rest of 2021. Really, we're trying to get this roadmap
Oh
lined
wow,
up. So, yeah,
leaks.
we kind of had an announcement coming, and then there were issues with the challenge server, so we had to go back to the drawing board and tweak some things. So, yeah, I know there's a lot of people wanting to run events right now, stuck in limbo. I appreciate your patience. Thank you for not blowing up my inbox, but I've heard all your concerns. And for real, we've got like a big announcement coming. So I'll tease the announcement of an announcement here to wrap this one up. But Dave, hit us with the plugs, man. Where can people find you? What are you working on? If you got a YouTube or something, drop that link in Twitch chat. Hit us with the magic. Where can people find all of your beautiful content?
Sure. So yeah, well, so I'm obviously I stream on Twitch several times a week. I stream there Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. I also have a YouTube channel. It's mostly informative videos, not anything where it's just saying exactly what is going on in the market. Like it's not kind of a market analysis. It's really just how to do simple things and how to make decisions. So I'm trying to help give you alpha, but really my goal and whatever I do is try to just help teach you to know exactly what how to make the decision you want. So if you want to make an aqua farm, I'm going to give you the tools to like
Mm.
make that best decision for you versus saying like, hey, make this aqua. But yeah, that's what we focus on the YouTube and Twitch. So the leaks for me, it was announced on Twitter, so I guess I can announce it here too. But I am buying a Mystic. So that's probably my biggest leak. Um,
Welcome.
Thank you. I'm going to be buying a fuzzy from Whoop-De-Doo. So I am in love with it. I actually don't know the number off the top of my head. I really should. I should have had it memorized. But he has been trying to sell it for a little bit, and so him and I had a chat yesterday and kind of locked it up. So it's going to be a fuzzy mystic, which are obviously very rare. He has Calico Zeal though. I think I can remember he has like Calico Zeal, Caterpillars, Hatsoon,
Okay.
a few other parts. But he's a really cute
That
fuzzy
sounds
mystic.
cute. Yeah,
Yeah,
I like that.
it's at 27. That'd be awesome if a person had it. Of course, I couldn't pull up in the market either. So that's kind of my plug for what's going on for me
Nice.
personally. And then that is the one. Good call for
Yeah.
Axie person. So I'll tag in there too. And you can pull him up to 2079. And so I'm buying him, which is great. But then the other big leak or news, which I announced on my stream last night too, so people were aware. I think I did. But coming on Wednesday, we are starting a kind of Axie sports show talk show. So it's really just going to be talking about Axie from all different walks of the Axie universe. So it'll be myself, OX Penguin, it'll be So Mean, and Fujin. And so we are from a combination of Canada, the US, and Argentina, kind of all different age and demographic as well, and just really excited to just talk Axie to,
Nice.
whatever scale we want. So it's not going to be necessarily like we're going to go through all the numbers or go through anything, but just like, hey, are you breeding? How are you doing it? Are you doing 2 or 4? Like, did you take a big loss this week, or did you see this big purchase from someone else? Like, did you see the 3 huge Genesis plot sales? Like, just kind of give just kind of a normal sports debate talk show around the Axie metaverse. So
Yeah.
really excited for that. That starts tomorrow night. So it's not going to be on Axie Tuesday because we still want to respect. I loved Axie Chat and what they've done and their whole Axie night. So
Yeah.
I don't stream on Tuesdays. I haven't really streamed then since like my first 2 weeks. So that'll be Wednesday night starting at 9 p.m. EST for about 2 hours. We don't have a set
Dude.
time yet, but yeah.
That sounds awesome. I love it. And I mean, as much as Axie Chat have been slaying it, that's just one podcast. And I think the Axie space has room for multiple podcasts, maybe with some different themes, some different formats. You know, my thing's a little more open-ended. I use a lot of words and can go for hours at a time. You know, I kind of like that Joe Rogan format. Just 2 dudes, let's sit down and just bullshit and see what comes out. Wish we could do it in person, but this is the best we've got, you know. I love that long form content. Totally get it's not for everybody, and I think there's room for that full spectrum, you know, of everything in between. And love to hear that you got something in the books. And I love the like, let's cross over some regions. I want to know what's going on in the Axie Argentinian realm. You know, like all that stuff. I think is how we build this global community to be even stronger. So good on you, man. I can't wait to check it out.
Thank you. Well, it's also the big thing too. I think is so unique, and because obviously you go by Ziori, but your name's Andrew, and you know, the most bizarre thing to me in the whole NFT space is you never quite know what someone's name is. Like, you never know how they want to be addressed. Obviously, I have Dave in my name, so it's very simple. You just call me Dave or call me DAVEvsAXIE. But there's just so many other people like So Mean, and I now know he's in Connecticut, but I thought for the longest time his name was Chris and he lived in Ohio. And he's like, no, that was not me. And I was like, are you sure? And so someone else that's named Chris from Ohio, and I apologize, I don't remember your other name here. And then it was like, there's another guy in my chat a lot, Happy Days, who his name's actually Fuzzy Crypto Dino, that I always forget that they're the same person. And so it's just a very diverse place too, that like I want to bring more faces into the world. So you know when you're talking to So Mean what he looks like or she looks like, so that you can have like more, even if you know their first name, that's fine, but just so you can have more attachment to them. So the only one we won't have on face is Penguin. Penguin is still going to be uber anonymous, so Penguin will be on the stream, just kind of rocking his little penguin emoji face. So that'll be going there. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. So first one happened tomorrow night. If anyone has a cool name, obviously, Andrew, you are a king of at least great Axie names. So if you have any good show names, or anyone else in the chat, we talked about it last night a little bit, definitely feel free to share, DM me, tag me.
Yeah, I would definitely say like crowdsource that as much as possible. Show names are really hard. I think Axie names are easier because you don't have to be as original and you can just use like real names. But I do appreciate that vote of confidence there. Show names are notoriously hard. I've been stuck in this moment before where it's like, I know the content's good and you have this feeling of it kind of doesn't matter what we call it because people are going to click for the people that are on the show. But at the same time, you want your brand to not be shitty and you want the show to be something like original and SEOable and like have a logo that you can be a little proud of and not just like cringe at because you couldn't come up with a good idea. So while it doesn't matter at all and really the content and the quality of the content is what it will get judged on, the brand also matters so much because it's what everybody sees. And it's like the face of the whole thing. So it's hard, but I'm sure you'll come up with something.
I'll leave it. Well, the only two I have one that might be like a skit at some point, and it'll be like a take on it, and you'd be like, you call it Hot Butt or Unco. So I kind of like that one as like not a show name, but like if you had a skit in the middle of it, like we'll have like 3 or 4 things like, do you like this or not? Hot Butt or Unco.
Like a segment. Yeah,
a little segment. The other one I liked last night that I came up with, or someone maybe in chat said, but I read it and I thought it was awesome, is like behind anemone lines. And you could have like a little logo with the anemone logo, then like our little Axies or whatever behind the anemone. I don't know.
That's pretty good.
Stupid.
I actually like that one a lot. That's such a good wordplay because people stumble to say anemone anyway, and some people say it completely wrong. So I love the idea of it being in the title and it being a little bit of a tongue twister. At face value, passes the gut check, man. If you just announced that and I saw it, I'd be like, that's pretty good. That's pretty clever. I like that.
Okay.
Behind
Well, if
enemy
anyone has
lines.
any others, definitely let me know. But hey, appreciate the time again. Thank you very much for
Yeah.
having me on, and everyone that joined. Means a lot to
I
me.
do want to
Hopefully
show
I'll
off
see
your
you guys
Mystic
around.
here. It finally
Oh,
loaded
yeah.
for me.
Let's show them up.
So here you go. Here's Fuzzy. So you're right. There's the Calico Zeal, Peacemaker mouth, very cute. Caterpillar, Buzz. Wow, this is a very unique looking Axie. This is
It
cool.
is.
You don't see like Caterpillars, Hatsune, and Peacemaker together very often. That's a really cool mix.
No, and so do you know about Fuzzy Mystics at all?
Not, I'm vaguely aware of fuzzies being a thing. I hadn't
Yeah.
really thought about like that cross. So like this is ultra rare, right? There's only so many fuzzy mystics.
Yeah, so there's about 1,400 Mystics, and like 113 of them or so are Fuzzy.
Okay, so it's like the mystics within the mystics.
Kind of, yeah. So I'm very excited for it. And I think we don't know what Whoopie's gonna do because it sounds like Whoopie might go into another Mystic. So we'll see what he comes out with on the other end of this. But yeah, so that was kind of the excitement behind it too. It's just kind of unique, and I'm a big Beast fan anyway, so I do also like that it's a Beast with the Beast eyes. So yeah, excited.
Yeah, same as me, right? It's like it's an aqua that has the mystic aqua part. Same thing. It's like a beast part on the beast. Makes it a little cooler.
Right.
It just feels like cohesive or something. I don't know. It's a little arbitrary, but from a collector's lens, it just feels so right.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. Well, Dave, I'll let you get to it. I'm going to get out of here. I've got some Axie stuff to work on this afternoon. We're going to host up a lucky streamer here. So for those that joined us late, I'm going to have this interview uploaded to YouTube. So if you want to find that, youtube.com/ZyoriTV if you joined us late here. And don't forget to follow the Twitch stream, man. Appreciate all y'all. Keep slaying it in Lunacia. We're going to get these servers stable, and then we'll be right back to grinding. Dave, we'll catch you next time, man. Hopefully we get to do it again sometime.
Absolutely appreciate it. Have a good rest of the day, guys.